I'll see real quick.
Hey everyone, what's up? We're live. Happy New Year. What's up? It's me, Adam, and I'm joined by a special guest. Do you want to talk about yourself?
Sure. 1 second. Hold on. I broke
Hey
something.
everybody. Uh, while Chip deals with what he's doing, can you first confirm that the audio is okay and everything? You're only gonna be able to see me, but you should be able to hear Chip. Can you also confirm that you can actually hear him
One day. One
one
day. Hold
day?
on. I gotta grab like three more computers now.
Mm-hmm. And
This always
while he
happens.
tinkers. So yeah, obviously as the usual warning here, probably the audio will probably be pretty solid on my end. Video quality not so good, but that's never really that important for I'm just sitting here talking a live Q and A. Doesn't matter that much. But yeah, if you guys could do me a solid. All right, people saying audio is okay. Chip, can you talk so that they can hear you?
Okay, I'm back.
Can you talk so they can hear you?
Yeah, how's it going? I do not have a face today, and I'm looking at a delayed version of Adam. It's fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah.
Chip can be heard, is what they're saying. How's
Okay,
Chip's
good.
audio? Is it too quiet? Is it loud enough? Can you understand him? This is the annoying technical part where we just have to do this live. Sorry, everybody.
Yay,
Um,
technical part.
Say what, Chip?
So the yay technical part.
They say they can hear you, and
Oh, good.
it seems to be okay. All right,
Nice.
everybody. Well, hello. So yeah, it's the last day of the year. Happy New Year's, everybody. And again, Chip. This was actually Chip's idea. He wanted to do a live Q and A to close out the year. So good idea, Chip.
Yay.
Uh,
And you can give Adam the applause for actually doing it.
Well, it worked out. I actually had to bust my ass because I was gonna put Playload out today, but Chip's like, no, I want to do this. So I was like, all right, fuck. And so I had to go ahead and make Playload yesterday. I worked on that really like in a rush, but I got it done. I'm happy. Like barely. Like it was gonna go live at 2. I always try to make my stuff go live at 2 in my time zone, which is also Chip's time zone. And it was done at like 1:55. It had like 5 minutes to spare. So I was like, oh. Thank you. Okay. So it all worked out just fine.
Hooray.
All right. So we are going to be. Chip, why don't you tell him your story that you were going to tell me, and then we'll start taking questions.
Sure, okay. So basically, I started to tell Adam right before the stream started, and then we decided to tell you now. All of you know Adam is he's like the mastermind of good deals on video games. You know, he flies through the air on his magical video game broomstick and goes and buys them all for ridiculously cheap prices. So this time I was visiting family, and I was at a Target, and Target has quite a few clearances on Wii U games right now. The clearance items change from time to time, and so I peeked in Target to see what they had, and they had a copy of Shovel Knight for the Wii U, and I owned Shovel Knight for the PC on Steam. I think it's on Steam. But I wanted a physical copy. So I'm like, oh, this is perfect. It's on clearance. It's $10. That's a pretty good deal. I'll just go ahead and buy it, and I can say, look, I pulled an Adam and bought something for a nice price, right? So I buy it. I leave the store. I go back to my parents' place, and there's a giant crack on the back of the Wii U case. And actually, when I opened it up, it went all the way through to it actually damaged the disc somehow. But that was literally that was yesterday, the day before my flight to come back to Austin. So I did not have time to run back to Target because I got it at the last minute to go return it. So bummer, I don't actually have a working copy of the game. But at least I have the box in pretty bad condition with a manual that actually is okay.
So
There you
you
go.
did open it then.
Yeah, I opened it.
Did you? Wait, I missed that. Did you know it was cracked when you bought it? Like, or did you not notice until you opened it up?
I did not notice until I opened it up, and I was like,
'Cause I was
"What?
gonna say you
What
could have
happened?"
returned it in Austin. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's okay. It's only $10. I'll just get another copy at some point. Maybe the Target here still has one. I don't know.
Yeah, you should check that out, man.
I should
As I
check it
recall,
out.
there's a Target not too far from there.
Yeah, I know. We looked for what do we look for there? We looked for Oreos and something else at Target and
Yeah,
video
I doubt he's
games.
watching. Shane Rerez, I kept him. I was looking out for you, man. I always hook him up with Oreos. Actually, someone tweeted it to me today about a new Oreo Milka bar. I was like, yeah.
Huh.
All right.
I totally blanked out that I guess it's already New Year for some people.
Yeah.
Someone's saying,
Most of the world, actually.
"Huh."
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get into questions. And the first question is gonna come from a dude named My Ginger Guy. And
Great
his
name.
question. Say what?
Great name.
Yeah. All right. So he power marathoned the entirety of my Keep Dreaming playlist, which is like 118 videos, and he did it in like 12 hours. So first of
Wow.
all, let's all give him a round of
A little
applause
pause
because
here.
I certainly couldn't do that. I can't blame anyone for not wanting to do that, but he did it. And so I felt he earned the right to get the first question. So his question is as follows: if you were a Dreamcast game developer, what would it be, and what would the story be? He then says that here's his idea: it takes place in the Dreamcast universe, where all the characters who debuted in other games, presumably, by an ancient evil force, meaning the good guys and the bad guys of their home worlds, have to team up and save the world from destruction. So first of all, I like his idea, but it's not possible anymore because, you know, that's a lot of licensing issues. But, you know, as a concept, I think that's a great idea. If we're going with what I consider to be realistic, I would go with... I always say this, I would go with more fighting games. I think the Dreamcast independent scene is sorely lacking in fighting games, probably because they're very difficult to do. And fighting games don't typically have a very engrossing story, but, you know, if you can come up with some sort of unique reason, like Mortal Kombat, that was one of the big hooks with Mortal Kombat, is it had kind of a unique reason for characters to basically just be fighting. Whereas something like King of Fighters mostly focused on the gameplay, while the story itself wasn't that interesting. So I haven't really put much thought into what a fighting story would be like, but yeah, that would be probably what I would want. What about you, Chip?
For me, it'd probably still be more RPGs, right? We have Pure Solar, and I'm trying to think if there's any other RPG that. Well, there's that one that you have a cameo in, right?
Yeah, Zia and the Goddess Princess. You have it,
Yeah,
right?
that one. Which, to be honest, I mean, it's always good to see a new game, but it's not Pure Solar in terms of it looks more like an RPG Maker style game. Um, so I definitely want more of those games coming out, RPGs, just because I like RPGs. That's basically it.
You got any
Oh
specific
man,
stories like that you would tell, or what do you think of his story?
all that pizza is killing my throat right now.
Oh, you and your shit pizza. This guy went to Domino's. He went to fucking Domino's. That's an
Oh,
insult.
it's fantastic too.
Ugh.
Stories I tell in terms of stories in an RPG.
No. His story. What did you think of his concept?
Oh, his concept.
Like, do you
I mean,
remember
I think
the
you're.
Dreamcast commercials at the beginning where they would all like go inside the console and you just see all the characters inside there?
I saw one of them, and I saw one of them on
Basically,
YouTube.
you guys can look up the videos and stuff. They're the old ads. I think that's basically what he was hinting at, is a game that takes place in there, and I think that would be cool. But licensing wise, I don't. You could never do it.
Yeah, but what if you could?
Then it could
What
be
if
great.
what if you could? Okay, so great how?
I
Like
don't know.
what kind of game would that be if you were placed in that universe?
Well, you could make a fighting game out of that. It's got characters, or you could make some sort of RPG. You could, you know, who the hell knows? You can make a racing game out of that. The idea would be kind of like it almost comes off like it's a hub world where it has any number of potential games.
Yeah, I was thinking of kind of like a Sonic Adventure style where you're kind of wandering around that overworld
Hmm.
or hub world or something. But you probably have never played this, but have you heard of the Gary's mod? Gary's mod?
I know of it mostly
You
because
know of it?
Shrek is love, Shrek is life.
I do not know what that is.
Oh, dude, how is that possible?
Well, now you got to elaborate. What is that?
It's a video you just have to watch. We can't do it here, but everyone
Of
out
course
there, I'm
not.
sure, knows what it is. Dude, what? Okay, I'll send you a link later. But I can't. It's one of the most messed up but funniest videos I have ever seen in my entire life.
Huh. Okay then. Well, everyone has a recommendation of what they should be seeing next because it's got Adam's seal of approval.
I'm sure a lot of
But
people
yeah,
know what it is.
so Gary's mod and it's specifically some sort of like I think it's called Gary's Mod Tower or something. It had basically a bunch of mini games that you could play as together. So it's almost like I combine the world, like the hub world style of Sonic Adventure and Gary's Mod Tower, and then kind of have the mini games that kind of take advantage of the characters. But they have things like mini golf, this weird ball thing we're trying to get down to the bottom of some sort of level without falling off, and a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, mini games I think would be the way to go there.
All right, man. Well, hopefully that satisfies you, my ginger guy. So we're gonna get into more questions here. If you're just joining us, it's not just me today. I'm with Chip. He's the
Hello.
co-star of my podcast, or our podcast, the Figure It Out Cast. Say hi, Chip.
Hi.
Hey, there you go. Okay, so we're just gonna start taking questions. If you see a good one, just go ahead and call it out, or I'll just do it.
Okay. Calling
Um,
out ring ring. Purple Circle said, "You guys, what was the last game you finished? Did you enjoy it?"
I honestly can't remember because these days when I game, it's usually for very short bursts where I have to record footage of something, and then I don't get to usually actually enjoy finishing the game. The last thing I played at all, this is very embarrassing, but again, it was work related, Disneyland Adventures for the Xbox 360 for Kinect. But that was the
Yes,
last
my
thing I
favorite.
actually played.
Oh man,
Scott the Canadian has joined us. Welcome.
perfect. Scott, hello.
But how about
Um,
you, man?
oh, I actually finished one recently. It's the first time I finished a game in a long time. It was the first Advance Wars for the Game Boy Advance. Have you heard of that series?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm not
so
super familiar with it, but I've heard of it.
yeah, so I mean, I didn't, I didn't 100% the game, but I beat the campaign 'cause the campaign's pretty short, and since it's just a little turn-based strategy type game, it was pretty easy just to pick up, where I left off, and then beat the levels slowly. So I finished over maybe a week or two, just playing like maybe half an hour at night. Pretty fun.
All right, man.
Playing it on the Game Boy Advance EverDrive thing.
Oh yeah, you got one of those, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I took that. Actually, I finished it. When did I finish it? I took it with me on my flight out a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I finished it sometime then,
Down to
and
Atlanta.
now I've moved on to some other game that I've forgotten.
The flight to
But
Atlanta.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I'm going to Atlanta in a couple days. It's funny how we didn't quite overlap there.
yeah. Well, we couldn't have controlled that one anyway.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
okay.
well.
Next
Yeah, if you
time.
guys are in Atlanta, I'll be there for the high-res Smite convention. So, there you go. Amy says hello. We have other people. God, we have a bunch of people watching. I just want to say thank you. We already have 96 people watching, and for New Year's
Nice.
Eve, that's kind of impressive. If Europeans, I mean, I'm sure you're staying up late because of New Year's, but thank you for joining us anyway. And fellow Americans who apparently don't have anything better to do on New Year's Eve, much like myself, thank you for being here.
Hey, any side clap?
Yay, a little pathetic
Yeah.
laugh. No, this is fun for me. I would actually, I'm not really a party person, so this is, just interacting with people I enjoy talking to is much more fun.
Hey, Adam,
Um,
have you ever done a video on the PSP?
Not
Uh,
really.
Captain Septic Piss. Oh, great name. Basically asked you if you had ever done a video on that.
No, not really, because, like, here's the thing with handhelds. Like, first of all, I enjoy consoles more, but handhelds, a lot of my stuff, like, is cleaning videos. You can't really do that with a handheld. It's not going to fix it. Then there's things like doing, the recap stuff. I just simply haven't gotten around to it yet. So there is, and I really don't collect much in the way of handhelds. That's why you don't really see that stuff from me very often. But I will eventually do something with the PSP for sure.
Hmm.
How about you, Chip? Have you done a video with the PSP?
No.
There's nobody I know who is more like intense with his handhelds than you. Like the amount you have is nuts.
Yeah, I've got three PSPs and a PSP Go somewhere, but I can't remember where they are now.
Tip of the iceberg. Like,
Well, that was fun. So that was actually the first handheld I actually quote unquote modded. It's not really a mod; it's more of a hacked it, I guess. But when you had the PSP Slim, it was the PSP 2000 model. So the first model was the PSP Fat or the PSP 1000 and all the variations. Slim was the 2000, and then they had like a third version, which was the 3000. The 2000, you take the battery out, you'd open it up, and there's a circuit board in the battery, and you have to cut a certain trace. When you did that, it let you run unsigned code, I believe, and that's what allowed you to basically use emulators on the PSP. So I actually used the PSP to emulate PlayStation and N64 and Super Nintendo and all that stuff, and take those on the go with me because it was the most powerful handheld at the time, and worked wonders. Right, and the battery life is pretty good at the time as well.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I have a PSP still. There was a phase there where I was actually getting into playing emulators and stuff on it, just because I thought that was kind of cool. But then I just realized, well, like, I have a TV, and I just preferred it that way. So,
Yeah, I'm definitely growing more towards I enjoy the television side because at least when I have a dog and she hates me when I sit anywhere other than on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to be able to play on a big screen. That and battery life. I think the battery life problem is my biggest concern because as handhelds get older, if they don't have support for standard AAA, AA batteries, even if you have replaceable lithium-ion batteries, eventually those are going to get phased out, or you won't be able to buy them anymore for cheap online, or they just won't work. And you'll basically be stuck to being plugged into a wall with a tiny screen. So they definitely have their downsides.
So Luke Plays says, where can I get an N64 EverDrive? You can get them from Stone Age Gamer. You can get them from retrotowers.co.uk. Those are the only people I know that sell them. Probably third parties, eBay, stuff like that. You don't know of any, do you?
No, I've gotten all my EverDrive stuff through Stone Age Gamer.
Amy asks what we had for lunch. I had sushi. I believe you had... Well, why don't you tell them what you had?
I had fantastic, delicious, mouth-wateringly cheesy Domino's 6-cheese, Wisconsin 6-cheese pizza with Parmesan bites and barbecued chicken.
I appreciate your efforts to try and make that not sound venomous. But, so pizza snob, I guess, gross, fucking Domino's, yuck.
Yeah, I have less than 30 minutes to do something, so I need to get something quick to eat since I just got back from my flight. And that was the fastest thing. Domino's is by far the fastest to my apartment.
You should have got tacos, though.
And I would have cooked, but I don't everything expired because I've been gone for a couple of weeks. So
that's fair, but you still should have got tacos instead. That would have been.
That would take too long.
Well.
Next time I'll get some tortillas and I'll put Domino's in tortillas. There you go.
There's a question as to who you are. Why don't you go ahead and tell them who you are?
Hey, I'm Chip.
Hey, there you go. Answer.
Hey.
Chip is on the podcast with me. The Figured Out Cast comes out once a month. Patreon backers get it at the beginning of the month, and everyone else gets it at the end of the month. So if you've enjoyed this or whatever, you can check out the Patreon, and we'll record the next podcast in just a couple. Actually, I think we're recording it tomorrow, aren't we?
Yeah, we should be.
There you go. So you'd have access to it on January 2nd, maybe, if you're a Patreon backer, or if you just you just want to watch the public version, that'll probably come out January 27th, something around there. So there you go. That's Chip. He's my co-star.
Hi. Let's see. So I haven't been scrolling down because I tend to sit on some of these questions. So Vander Jameson, James Hum, asked both of us, coffee, how do you prepare yours? Percolator, tripillator, whatever those are.
You go first.
I
actually drink some.
I've not had coffee in so long. I used to have it every morning. I would just basically get whatever my cheap coffee machine is. Get some ground up coffee grinds, I guess. Put them at the top through a filter. But then I do half coffee and half hot chocolate mix. So it was much sweeter because I don't like bitter things, and black coffee is pretty bitter to me.
I will take whole bean. I will take ground. I'll take anything of acceptable caliber. I won't drink shit like Folgers, but I essentially just drink it all black. Sometimes I'll put coconut milk in there just, for the calcium and stuff.
Oh, that's so good.
But I don't need it for flavor. I'll drink black coffee. I don't care. And I drink a lot of coffee. It's definitely the monkey on my back. But I don't like low quality coffee. I don't really like instant coffee. I wouldn't go so far as to call myself a coffee snob, but I definitely like better quality coffees, and I'm willing to spend money to get better quality coffee. So there you go.
There you go. Fantastic.
Yeah, some people argue that's bad, but if you put a bunch of cream and sugar in there, then yeah, you can get low quality coffee because it won't really make a difference. But when you're drinking it black or essentially black, then it actually matters because stuff like Folgers Crystals is just vomit inducing. Scott describes you as his American counterpart, just more successful, better looking, and probably more intelligent and stuff.
Well, Scott, I describe you as my Canadian counterpart, who has a better name, is better looking, so I counter your point, and is more creative and fun. So there you go.
Nah, Trip, you're better. Trust me. I've spent too much time with Scott. I know none of those things you said about him are true. Except
his name is Scott.
That part's correct.
Okay. Well, let's see. Here's an interesting one from Ryan Lands.
Okay.
Whatever. Do you? Okay. I'm going to paraphrase this. Basically, should Sony or Microsoft basically copy Nintendo's strategy of releasing the NES Mini and have their own mini classic consoles. I'm assuming this will be for the Xbox and either the PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 for Sony.
I don't personally. I don't think they need to do that. I think one of the advantages of the NES is that it's been around so long that it just has that nostalgia built in. Whereas PS1 debatably has that. The OG Xbox certainly doesn't.
Right. I mean, as you said, it's the cheapest to collect for still, right? Because no one wants it.
Yeah, exactly. Sony might be able to get away with making a little PS1 box type of thing, but I mean, honestly, if you were going to do that, you might as well just sell like digital game packs or something through the PlayStation Store for the PS4. Like, there's not really a reason to have this little standalone thing. But
yeah, unless people don't have one of those and they want to milk off the gamers that grew up with PS1 and didn't go forward with anything else.
Yeah, it just seems kind of not ready yet for them. Maybe in another generation, if there is another generation, I could see Sony doing that. I don't think Microsoft could really do that, nor do I think they would even be interested.
Yeah, I don't think they would. I don't think either one of the companies would do this, but I definitely would be game for an RPG packed PlayStation 1. Put the Suikoden's on there, throw a Vagrant Story.
You start getting into licensing problems. Nintendo is a lot of the stuff on the NES Mini was Nintendo's own property. There were definitely third-party titles in there, but usually from companies that were like desperate for money, like Capcom. I just don't know how cooperative a lot of the totally healthy companies would be with Sony and Microsoft. I mean, I could be wrong, of course, but I don't know. It may not actually be worth their time.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But that's my guess. I think it's way too early to do a PS2 version of that. Like, no way.
Well, considering the PS2 is still around until, 2012? When was that still?
It really discontinued until, 2012, yeah.
Yeah.
The last game for it was released in 2014. So, it hasn't been that long.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah. You keep going with the picking of the questions. You seem to be good.
Sure. Let's see. I just had some. Well, I like how Scott was saying he'll be here for a short time before he leaves to go do Canadian things.
And he literally just said he has to go. So bye, Scott.
Oh, okay. Bye, Scott. Bye. Yeah, I'm like halfway through the chat. I'm just kind of
you won't be able to keep up with that. It comes in too constantly. It's up to you how you want to do it.
Yeah, I just kind of hone in on questions, and then I kind of flip through and go to more questions.
Yeah, whatever you want to pick, man. It's all you.
Guys,
we're gonna let Chip pick the questions.
Oh, well, let's see. I'm going to skip the one about if I own an Apple Pippin, because clearly I do not own an Apple Pippin.
It's because it's come up on the podcast so many times. I have an Apple Pippin.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That was by That Media Guy 150. So there you go. Easy way to play Dreamcast light gun games without a CRT.
I wouldn't say there's an easy way. The only way I've found that works without a CRT is certain VGA monitors will support it, but they're basically CRTs. Like, I did a video on this 7 years ago. You can watch that, but you just can't play light gun games on modern televisions unless the games are made for it. To the Wii's credit, it remade a lot of games using that, but old school, you just can't. The technology is completely different.
Some people are saying 15 minutes until midnight. What time zone is that?
That would be in mainland Europe.
Okay.
So France through the Russian border probably. So Germany probably, all that stuff in the middle there. So it's the only countries ahead of us by 6 hours instead of 7 is the United Kingdom, Ireland, and Portugal.
Gotcha.
And then there's this big blank slate in the middle for a couple hours. And then you start hitting Brazil and stuff.
Huh. Okay, so here's another one from Brenton Chevin. I also apologize if I mispronounce anyone's name because I do not pronounce things well. As Adam, I can't remember if you pointed it out when you were in Austin. I know you told me about it. The whole Glover thing.
Yeah, Glover. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I remember that game. That was Glover. And Adam looks over at me and is like, dude, it's a glove. It should be called Glover. It's oh, that makes sense. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Brenton Chevin asks you, Adam, how many hours a day do you spend working on videos?
Pretty much all day. because I work on 4 channels.
Well, quantify what is all day for you.
I
How
get
many
up.
hours?
I get myself together. I start tackling my morning emails, which is all pertaining to videos. It's comments and questions and business inquiries, all that kind of stuff. I deal with that, and depending on the day, I either produce a new video for my channel or I make sure to wrangle the other people on my team to make sure that they're editing properly, and I have to review footage, and like none of that really stops until it's time to go to bed. Like, I pretty much am just doing that all day because that's the consequence of working on 4 channels.
And there you go, folks. He is a very, very busy man.
Yeah. And, like, I have to, if I'm going to go somewhere, like I'm going to this thing in Atlanta, right? So I have to, like, preemptively do a bunch of work to allow myself the opportunity to be there for schedule reasons. So, like, my whole channel runs on autopilot during that time. Like, I've actually got most of the first half of January's videos already done and uploaded, just waiting. Because of that. And then when it comes to the other guys, the other channels I work on, it's the same basic deal. I'm like, here's everything you need, here's all your resources, and blah 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 blah. And then of course I have to stay in constant contact with them and still kind of manage them. I mean, Chip, you saw me do this in the car with you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he was nuts. He was like trying to relax, yet he was still working.
Yeah, it never really stops. So there you go.
There you go.
How's
all
your
right, we
work
got another
day?
one. Say what?
Your work day. How many hours do you put into videos?
Into video. Let's see. Let me count how many zeros. Zero. 0
Wow.
hours. I know. Well, actually, I made a couple of videos. I think I told you that a while ago. But they're all deleted now. I deleted them all.
Oh, you nerd. Why'd you do that?
Yeah, I had like a couple of Minecraft videos like back in 2008 or 9. I can't remember when. It's like right when Minecraft came out. I thought it was neat, and then I got bored of it. And then I made like a little bit of a talk show, which was pretty boring, and some other stuff. But anyway.
Way to upsell. Way to upsell.
Yeah, I just don't have the time to do that now. But it definitely took me a while to learn all the different pieces, right? So I had what did I have? So I can't remember what the software was. I think it's some sort of Adobe Premiere or something like that I was using to edit the videos, but I didn't really do that much editing. I just kind of mostly used Audacity to balance out the audio more than anything else, and then I fed that into Adobe Premiere.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, we've got a RedCalXZ. What's more important, gameplay or story in a game?
Video game, gameplay.
Gameplay, hands down, from Adam. Yeah, I'd say gameplay. Even though I'm a big fan of RPGs, I mean, a lot of people don't. I actually like the gameplay style and mechanics of a lot of turn-based RPGs, and especially of like tactics RPGs like Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. That was on the Game Boy Advance. So I enjoy those mechanics. Now I love having a story to go with it, and I find myself if there doesn't have a good story, I tend to get bored and drop off later. But mechanics are what really make the game work.
All right then. Yeah, you need a good gameplay in a video game. I mean, you can get by without a story. A story is a bonus. Some would even argue it's a detriment. I would not, but some would.
I think it depends on the kind of game, because I did some game development stuff in college and a little bit outside as well. And there are definitely genres of games that don't benefit from a story. In fact, if you put too much focus on the story aspect, it can actually be a detriment to me. If for example, you're trying to put too much story into a shmup, and all you want to do is you just want to fly through and shoot things, right? But it keeps pausing to make you have to click through dialogue and that kind of stuff. Sometimes people just want to play the shmup to just shoot things.
Yeah.
So if the story is getting in the way from the main mechanic, then I think it's a problem.
Yeah, it'd be kind of nice if games like that had a feature where to enable or disable the story right at the beginning.
That's a pretty interesting thought. Yeah, if you could literally just do like story mode. Well, there are things like story mode and arcade mode.
Yes, but yes, but I mean, like, certain games don't have that, and it would be nice to just have it where it just completely disables it.
Yeah,
that's my thoughts anyway. But anywho, what else you got, man?
Question? Oh, I've got more, but I was gonna let you pick one.
Oh well, because I'm gonna jump further down the list.
Yeah, go ahead. We'll go back and forth.
There's a guy named Charlie. I noticed he wrote a bunch of questions. He said he wishes he could have met me in the UK. Yeah, I was there back in July. I got to see Carrie Fisher live on stage at Star Wars Celebration. She was hysterical. That was so sad.
Yeah, the fact that her mother died the next day.
Yeah, Debbie Reynolds. That was so sad.
Yeah. I didn't realize Debbie Reynolds was in is like that Disney Channel movie or movie series, Halloween Town. Yeah, I didn't realize she was in that.
Yeah, she was the grandmother.
Yeah, I totally did not realize that when I was watching it growing up.
Yeah, well, she wasn't that popular to our generation, I guess. By the way, Happy New Year to everyone in mainland Europe. It just happened.
It just hip.
It just hip.
Yeah.
Yeah, Happy New Year to the mainland Europeans. What's up? So yeah, that was my question. He says he wishes he could have met me in the UK. I did have a big fan meetup. If I go back to the UK, I'm sure I'll announce it. So hopefully that works out.
Nice. Hey, everyone that speaks another language, say Happy New Year in that language in the chat.
Because we're Americans, we don't.
Yeah, and so you could basically say anything. I probably believe it's Happy New Year.
Oh, but, totally. Someone's gonna write like "Go fuck yourself, Chip," but like in Greek, and we're gonna be like, "Yeah, he must really like you."
Please don't say that. You make me cry, even though I won't know.
He won't know. He'll think you're saying Happy New Year.
That's right. Let's see another question. That one about the light gun games we have already answered. Okay? This is an interesting one because I haven't really heard you talk too much about. Because I think Adam, you said that typically you don't go back and watch any of your old videos. Is that right?
Not generally.
Okay, so I don't know if you'll have much of an opinion on this, but the question from I'm going to mispronounce this. I think it's my ginger guy again.
Yeah.
So that person. This is all one word. What was your favorite Keep Dreaming video that you've made so far?
I don't know.
Yeah, there we go, folks.
They're all kind of just roll together to me. I think the one that I got the most surprised reaction was the one with the link cables. I think it was the third-party Dreamcast link cables, because I didn't really know how to present those as interesting. So I did this whole thing where the Dreamcasts have sex using the cable. Huh. It was the only thing I could think of. And people seemed to really like it because it was completely unexpected. I think that was kind of fun. I also like, even though I hate room tours and collections and all that kind of shit, I really like the 100th episode because it basically let me to show off all that shit that's in there,
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That seems like that would be... Well, I mean, you want to show off like your pride and joy, right?
Yeah, well, I wanted people to see it because it's obviously there's a lot of rare stuff in there that people don't even know exists for the most part. And people have to remember, man, when I was collecting Dreamcast stuff, nobody gave a crap about it. Like, nobody cared. So I rounded it all up for basically nothing, and now I have it, and people are like, does this thing exist? And I'm always the guy who's like, yes, here's a picture of it, it exists. Because
it's true.
I remember doing a ton of research on it back when nobody cared, and it was actually kind of hard to find that information because nobody cared. And now people care, and I'm often used as a reference for like, yes, here's proof that it exists. This idiot did a video on it like 7 years ago just using his hands. But yeah, I did it.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Okay, so I'll take this one. It's from that media guy 150 again. It says, Chip, what is your opinion on the Fire Emblem games? And I'll extend this to you as well, Adam, if you know anything about...
I have no opinion. RPGs,
no opinion.
Me, not really.
Okay, well, let's see. So, like a lot of people from the North America, I was introduced to the Fire Emblem games from... I think it's just called Fire Emblem on the Game Boy Advance. It had... who was in it? It had Lynn and Hector and the father of Roy. His name was Eliwood, I think. And it was pretty fun. It was weird. They made it easier for the North American folks, I believe, and it actually gave you the tactician a character that was the tactician. That is kind of, they were all talking to you instead of just being you watching a story, which is kind of neat because it made you feel more involved. But yeah, I definitely enjoy the Fire Emblem games. I haven't played one in a little while. I'll probably end up playing the Game Boy Advance ones again before I play. I think I have one for the Wii, and I don't have the GameCube one, and that one's hard to find, and that's where one of the Smash Brothers characters came from. What's his name? Ike, I think. But yeah, no, they're a lot of fun. I like a lot of the turn-based tactical RPGs. That's a fun one to play. Definitely is harder in Japan than it is in North America. I don't know how Europe fares. I don't know what difficulty they made it for Europe. But
you got a lot of people you can ask.
Big fan. Yeah. Well, anyone in Europe, if you played Fire Emblem, do you know if they kept the difficulty from the Japanese version, or did they have the same kind of watered down difficulty of the North American version? Answer in the comments, and eventually I'll get to them and read them.
Chip's a dynamo.
Dynamo.
I'm just sitting here. He's got the whole show.
Oh, we need to add some Adam flavor back
No, no,
in.
it's
So Adam,
fine, man.
you've just said you put yourself in the spot. Find another question.
All right, what do you got?
Well, I said you find another
Oh,
question.
I have to do this. All right.
Yeah, you have to work.
Uh, so should Sega focus less on Sonic? Yes. They don't really do. They've kind of given him a break, thankfully. But I've said it before, man. Sonic is the only thing that ever made Sega any money. Like they had all these amazing creative characters back then, just like Nintendo did. But the only one that successfully cracked that kind of social ceiling, where people actually knew him, or he was a household name and all that, was Sonic. Everything else they did was something that only gamers really knew about, and modern gamers often don't know anything about him or about their history because it just didn't transition that well. A lot of the best games for stuff like the Genesis is completely unknown, even though it's a lot of their own mascots. So I'd love to see them do that as a fan and as a gamer, but from a with an understanding of economics, I get why they don't do that. So I'm glad that at least now that Atlas is under their wing and they're kind of working together. Atlas seems to be kind of convincing Sega to use their IPs more, but it's a slow rollout. But in the end, they're just going to do what makes them money. If Sonic makes them money, that's what they're going to go with. But I would like to see Sonic just sit out for a while, and let's bring him back when people miss him, not when we're like sick of him coming out every year.
Yeah, no, that's a good opinion. I can't say I really care that much about Sonic. I had like one Sonic game growing up, and that was on the Sega Game Gear. Mm-hmm. I actually found that one cartridge. It was actually, I think, Sonic 2 and something else. It was like a combo pack with the two of them.
You still have Sonic Pocket for Neo Geo Pocket?
Yeah, I've got all those. I think I have like almost every Neo Geo Pocket game. Impressive. Not quite all of them. There's like one really, really rare one that's some sort of, I can't remember what it is now. I think it's a platformer. Mm-hmm. Like you're like a little witch or something.
Shantae?
No, I can't remember what it is now, but it's like one of the three.
Tell us what game in the comments.
Because I do have on the Neo Geo Pocket, they have one game that's basically it feels similar to what are those games called? Not Final Front. It's like a lot of the turn-based RPGs though, but it cost me like $80 to get because it's like the third hardest to get game for the Neo Geo Pocket. There you go.
I don't know enough about his library, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know enough about my own library. I just kind of like, oh yeah, I have that game. I forgot about that. Actually, I think I literally have my whole library in a case sitting right next to me. I don't know why that. I can look it up. So you have to answer another question while I look up what the game is.
The pressure.
The pressure. Oh man.
How come my HD TV is not playing audio from the Dreamcast and the Toro? You have to set up the audio separately, sir. There is an output for VGA, and then there's 2 RCA ports on it, I believe, and those require, depending on what kind of setup you have, your television should have a VGA input port, and it should have like a 3.5 millimeter jack input. It depends. Are you hooking this up to your TV or a monitor? Either way, the audio is carried through a second separate cable. VGA doesn't carry the audio by itself. A lot of people who don't like you for being nice about the Neo Geo Pocket, apparently, and other people who think that it's underrated and that you're a hero.
Well, I found the Sonic Pocket Adventure game. I can't remember. I can't find the game, but I vaguely remember what it's called. It's like called like Falsi or Falsi. It's actually, I think it was like a European only release.
Ooh. We're getting more Europeans, so what's up? What's this European exclusive Neo Geo Pocket game he's got?
I can't remember what. I can't find it, but it was basically a tactical RPG. I also have Dark Arms. That was a fun game. And they also had some fun. It was weird. You're not a handhelds guy. There was a game for the Game Boy Color that was basically the Pokemon trading card game. It was pretty fun. It was basically the basic game. I think they changed some of the rules to actually be able to make it easier to play on a Game Boy. But basically, there was a competitor game, what it feels like anyway, that was, I think, Street Fighter characters. I'm trying to remember if it was Street Fighter or I can't remember what characters it was, but they made 2 of them. I got Metal Slug in here too. They made 2 of them. The first of which they translated into English. The second of which was only in Japanese, but some guy translated it into English. I cannot find the game right now. I've got King of Fighters R2. A bunch of good fighting games in the Neo Geo Pocket, actually.
Makes sense. It's SNK.
Yeah, and it had that fun. I mean, you've seen the unit, right? You know it's
I
got
have one.
you have one, yeah. So you know it's got that interesting little, like joystick thing. That's like a what is it? It's like 8 micro switches that basically makes it feel like you're playing an arcade stick.
Yeah, yeah. I remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So that makes it great for fighting games. I even got this weird Gals Fighter game from SNK. I don't even know, but I can't find the really rare game. It's probably actually in the got Dive Alert. I don't know what that is.
It's not a good
It's
sentence when you can't find your rare game.
well, it's probably in one of the. Let me just pull up the Neo Geo Pocket here and see if it's actually inside the Neo Geo. No, there's nothing in
We
that one.
have an answer. Francisco says Facile, I can't pronounce that, is a Europe exclusive.
Yeah, okay. So
Fasalei.
that's the game I've got. That's the really hard to find one, and it's somewhere. Um, and yeah, that one was a PAL exclusive and is like the only tactics RPG on the system, I think. It was pretty fun. Like all the Neo Geo Pocket games, they're not very long, which actually is pretty appealing to me at this point because I can get through them a lot faster. But it's not the rarest game. I think it's like the third rarest in terms of there's some that are more valuable and harder to find. So there you go.
All right. Next
I
question,
totally forgot
man.
what the original question was, but
It was probably
let's
like, "Hi, how are
see.
you doing?" And you just went,
Yeah. Oh, here's one. Uh, unless this was in one of your most recent videos, I don't know what they're talking about either because I haven't watched the past couple of your videos. I've
"You
been
dick."
running
That's
around.
okay.
I know, so bad. David McCarthy was asking you to retell your Niagara Falls, New York story.
I'm not. I did that entirely in the previous live stream. It's like 10 minutes of me ranting on how bad the New York side of Niagara is. I'm not doing that in this
Okay, there
video.
you go. That's the whole story. It's
You
bad.
can watch it in
What's
that
happening?
video. It's in there.
Okay, let's see. What do the two of us think of Beast Wrestler on the Genesis?
I don't think I ever played it.
And the person asks, "Is it as good as Shenmue?" This is the Pirate Gamer Boy 12.
I would doubt it, but I've never played it.
Yeah, I can't remember if I've even played a Genesis game.
Wow, that's pathetic. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Wow.
I grew up with the Super Nintendo. That's the first console I had was the Super Nintendo. Actually, no, the first thing I had, no, it was Super Nintendo. There you go.
All right then.
Perfect.
Go on.
Let's see what else we got here.
Let's do some
What do you
power round
keep?
questions. Let's just try to power through a bunch.
Okay, what do you use to keep track of your collections? Apps, brain, paper. That's from
I
Jason
use
Ludwig.
like notepads, digital notepads, and I just keep like long lists and records and stuff.
I use nothing, and therefore I forget what I have.
Yeah, I've noticed that around him.
Yeah, Adam's like, "Oh, look, you have this GameCube game that apparently is really hard to get." I'm like, "Oh, okay.
Gotcha, Force.
Yeah, that's a fun game. Didn't realize it was hard to get though." Let's see. Which generation's the seventh generation?
That'd be the Wii, PS3, Xbox 360.
Okay, which one is your favorite?
Of those three, the Xbox 360.
Yes. Okay. For me, it was probably the PS3 because there are more RPGs on that than the 360.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see. More questions. Someone said they're not getting audio from their Toro. What do they do?
I already answered it.
Okay. See, there you go. I'm already caught up with you now.
No, that was a while ago.
What?
That was when you were digging around for the game.
I'm like at the bottom of the scroll bar. Oh, wait. It grew.
Yeah.
What?
While he
Okay.
figures
No.
that out, thank you everybody again for joining us here on New Year's Eve. Mainland Europeans, happy 2017. British and Portuguese, Irish, I know that's right around the corner for you. And my fellow North Americans and people in South America. I'm sure we have some Brazilians in here. I know you guys hit a little early. Thank you again for joining us. This has been fun. We're going to keep going for a while. I'm with Chip, who you guys might know from my podcast or our podcast, which you guys should totally listen to. And if you've enjoyed any part of this, if you wouldn't mind hitting a like button, I hate asking you that, but YouTube really wants me to ask you that. So if you don't mind, do it or don't. Up to you. Chip, do you have a question?
I do have a question. From Lee Geezy. Basically asks, is there a game that you've completed but hated?
Oh, I'm sure. I don't have any immediate examples. When I was younger, I used to be more committed to finishing a game, like regardless of how bad it was, because I didn't have that many, And so if I rented it, I was like, all right, this is my night. This is what I'm doing. I have no choice, even though this game sucks. And I think the one that I pushed all the way through, and I was just brutally mentally just upset about, was Twisted Metal 3, PS1.
Ah, there you go. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I've completed a game that I did not like. I'm pretty sure I was one of those kids that if I got tired of a video game and I didn't have anything else to do, I just go outside and play with sticks.
I'm sorry, I forgot about Australia. You guys did this already like 12 hours ago. You're done. I apologize. I didn't think you'd still be with
Oh,
us. Anyway,
Australia, we're so sorry.
sorry, I didn't think any of you'd be watching. I love
You have
Australia.
a
I've
cool
been there. Anyway,
accent.
continue, Chip.
Let's see. Have you ever played Tekken?
Yes.
Okay, I never played Tekken.
Was that it? That was the question?
That was the whole question.
All right then. Yes, I've played the three original Tekken games. The one I spent a lot of time playing one of the demos. I don't remember which. It might have been Tekken 1. There was some like Pizza Hut was giving away PlayStation demos back in the day, and one of the demos was on there was for one of the Tekken games. And I remember just playing the shit out of that because that was before you had access to a bunch of games. So I really loved that. And then as far as like completed games, I think it's not Tekken, but I played a lot of the first Battle Arena Toshinden. I don't know if anybody out there remembers that one. That game was a lot of fun. I liked those.
There you go. And I played zero Tekken games. So,
I like playing Tekken 3 on the Dreamcast using Bleemcast. That shit's fun. Do you have that? Do
huh?
you have the Bleemcast stuff?
No, I don't have any of the Blinkcast stuff. To be honest, I mean, you know this. I collect the games that I'm interested in actually in playing. I don't collect full sets, and
Yeah.
so if I already have, I don't have that game. But if there's a game I already had, like on say the PlayStation, and it was just ported, it's just emulated on the Dreamcast, I basically just play it on the PlayStation again.
Right on.
Let's see. I had a question. I forgot what it was. Nope, nope.
Pick
Favorite
something else.
controller. Favorite controller. What is your favorite controller?
Oh man. I really like the. Surprisingly, one of my favorite controllers is actually the PS4 controller. I think that's actually a really solid controller.
Huh.
I like the Xbox 360 controller a lot. I like the Dreamcast controller, but that one always has a lot of people like rolling their eyes because they think I'm saying that just because I like the console. The thing about the Dreamcast controller is it doesn't hold up well when you play the consoles that came after it because everyone got really used to the DualShock style controller, right? And it works really well with games it was designed for. But I can see why people have gotten too far away from being able to handle something like that. I never was a big fan of like the Genesis controller. I thought it was that weird bean shape. I never really was a fan of. SNES controller was solid. Yeah, those would probably be some of my answers there.
There you go. Oh, before I forget, this is from Ryan Lands again. Um, let's see. I definitely still enjoy the Super Nintendo controller, like the official ones. They feel really good in the hand. Um, I also enjoyed the original PlayStation controller before they added the DualShock
Yeah,
stuff to
people
it.
forget that, man. People forget
Yeah,
that there was
'cause
ever a time that it didn't have that.
yeah, and it's interesting because they had DualShock for the PlayStation One. Um, like it was like it's weird because it also had this button. I think the PS2 also had this like a button in the middle
Yeah,
that
the
turned
analog.
on and off.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's weird because with the PS2 it's a nice black controller. With the PS1 it was like they're weird gray.
Yeah.
But then they just added two joysticks in it. Um, and it's nice, but for the PlayStation 1 games, I didn't really want the joystick because most games it didn't really do too much to help. Yeah, so I like those controllers. I really actually like the feel of the Neo Geo Pocket's micro switch.
Mhm.
Like it's like 8 micro switches to simulate an arcade stick. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically it. Let's see. Question is, do you think the 8th gen will last as long as the 7th gen?
Unlikely. The seventh gen was a freak anomaly that was mostly created by the economic crash of 2008. Around 2009 is probably when we should have had a new round of consoles. But because of that, no one was going to go out and buy it. And the three companies kind of recognized that. So they were like, okay, we'll just make this last. And that's what they did. It's kind of amazing that they last as long as they did. I kind of, in a sense, I mean, I've heard this argument before. I kind of wish that it had lasted another year or two naturally, and so we would have launched new consoles in like maybe 2015, because the ones that came out, unfortunately, for 8th gen were a tad underpowered, which is, well, a tad would be putting it mildly. And that's why we're running into all these problems now. And now this is why we have a PS4 Pro and why Nintendo has to move on to the Switch and why Xbox is working on Scorpio. It was this weird Band-Aid half generation, and that was kind of a consequence of the 7th gen being so long. So It's hard to say because a lot of their business plan doesn't seem to even be to continue the concept of generations. That's what Microsoft's whole thing was. And we might be switching to this weird cell phone model where generations as a concept isn't even really a thing anymore.
Hmm. Yeah, I do wonder if we hadn't had that economic crash and new consoles had come out around 2009, right? Would that have changed the future of consoles? Would they have made more, or would they still have been on the decline and gone out the door anyway?
Yeah, who knows, man? That's anyone's guess.
Yeah, it's like in an alternate universe where Adam is raving about the PS8 and how it's doing so well.
Why would I be doing that? And how
I don't
badly
know,
did they
because
do that they're already on PS8?
that's because it's an alternative world. Who knows?
Yeah, but
Universe.
they must have been really bad to like have one new one every 2 years.
That's why you're raving about the eighth one. It's actually good again.
Like, why are you still doing this? Just stick with the console. Fuck.
Oh man. Let's see. More questions. Baker Skills 21 asks your thoughts on Space Jam, the movie.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
He loves it.
Yeah, 20 years ago, Michael Jordan. I'm from Chicago. What do you want? Of course, it's fantastic. I think I told this story on my previous stream, but I'm not 100% sure. I went to go buy new shoes. I always buy Jordan brand shoes, but I only do that like once every like 5 years. And it's the 20th anniversary of the movie, so they had a bunch of Space Jam stuff available, and they had this really cool T-shirt. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go get that T-shirt. That looks like a cool shirt. I'm expecting the T-shirt to cost like $8 to $15 at the most. I get up to the register, and you know the woman rings me up, and I realize my total's like really high, like way higher than I expected. And I'm like trying to figure out why that is. And I look, and I realize the T-shirt was $50. I'm like,
$50
yeah,
for a
T-shirt?
T-shirt?
Exactly. I was like, $50 for a fucking T-shirt? So I just asked her politely, like, I had no idea the shirt was $50. Can you just remove that? So she did. And then after I bought the shoes, she's like, yeah, so, you know, with your receipt for your shoes, if you come back and spend over $50, you get $10 off. So you can come back and get the shirt for $40. And I'm thinking, like, no, it's a $40 shirt at that point. Like, what aren't you getting about this?
Oh man, it must be like the highest grade, like made out of silk or something. I have no
No, it was
idea.
just a fucking T-shirt. It was just a T-shirt with like Michael Jordan in the Looney Tunes like Toon Squad outfit, just like in the air. Like that's all it
Okay,
was.
was it at least not a solid white shirt with like Michael Jordan on it? Was it a different color?
No, it was like blue.
Okay, so at least it's like slightly better. I whenever you see a T-shirt and it's like here's like our logo on this giant white shirt, I'm like it looks like I'm wearing an undershirt with the logo on it.
No, it was nicer than that, but no, that was still
$50 for a T-shirt,
yeah.
man. There you go, folks. Now you know where not to buy T-shirts.
Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't actually tell him where. It was Foot Locker. Don't buy your T-shirts at Foot Locker.
There you go. Especially not Michael Jordan ones.
Yeah, apparently.
Let's see. Oh man, all the questions just flew by again.
Yeah, that'll happen.
What does that happen? Let's see. PS5 can't come soon enough. I agree, Vander James Hum. Then we need the PS6 and the PS7 and the PS8, and then Adam can talk about the PS8.
Dude, there is a commercial for the PS9. Go look it up.
Hey, you told me about that one. I forgot about it again already.
It's an actual commercial Sony put out to market the PS2. It's about the PlayStation 9.
Huh.
It's a real thing.
Let's see. When will YouTube get a serious competitor?
That's a possibility, man. I mean, YouTube is starting to piss off a lot of people. I would put my money on either Amazon finally succeeding in that. They're starting to roll out a YouTube style program. And then there's vid.me or vid.me that currently is not successful, but a lot of YouTubers are like already kind of saying like this one might be the way to go. Like I've already gone ahead and reserved my name and everything over there. So if YouTube ever goes under, find me at vid.me.
Yeah, I'm curious if there would be like an aggregation service instead. I feel like one used to exist that you were using or something that would let you.
There's Vimeo, there's Blip TV, or there was Blip TV. There are alternatives, but none of them have been particularly successful.
But I'm talking more of like in terms of content delivery, in terms of you producing the content and saying I want to go to YouTube and vid.me and Amazon, whatever, it's like one stream for you to send, but it goes out to all the different media outlets.
Doing that for a while.
Ah, there you go. That's the one that was doing it.
Yeah.
What was I going with that? Oh well, I forgot where I was going with that. That's the way it works.
All right, then just move on.
Yeah, move on. Let's see. Some of the Pro, the PS4 Pro, and then I lost it. The question's gone. No. Oh,
that'll happen,
how sad.
Man. Just move on.
Oh, here we go. Adam, would you buy the PS9? I'm assuming from the commercial.
Based on that single ad, no. Because it's completely fake.
If it was real, if it was real, would
Sure,
you
but
buy it?
like by the time PS9 comes out, I'm gonna be like 45 or 50 or some shit. Who knows
Hey, I
if
mean,
I'll even care?
are you saying? Oh, okay. Are you saying you won't care about video games
I'm
when you're
saying I have
45 or
no idea.
50?
I've been very on the record like I would never get an all digital console ever. So it wouldn't surprise me if the next round of them are all digital, and that's where I would tap out. So if PS9 certainly would have no chance.
Yeah. Uh, Trying to read comments. Brain not functioning. JZS20 asks you, do you think the Nintendo Switch will be a success?
I want it to be.
There you go.
I'm
He wants it
cautiously
to be.
optimistic. I kind of talked about that in the last stream, but
Are
I
you more
don't. They haven't
optimistic
given
now
me
than
any
you were
reason to
before?
believe it's going to be a massive success. So I hope for their sake that it is. But they haven't done a very good job yet of really exciting anyone.
There you go. Wait, actually, are you more excited now or less excited now or the same since they announced it? Announced it.
Completely indifferent. Like it's only like 3 months away, and we still barely know anything about it.
Gotcha. Oh, now the questions are gone again. There was a good one too. I forgot what it was. Oh well, I guess I'll settle
Just pick
for it.
another one, man.
Do you think old people know what YouTube is? This is
I
from
know that
Simple
they don't.
Device Advice.
I know they don't because try going to things like Christmas or Christmas Eve parties and stuff, and when your relatives try talking to you about what you do, and you have to explain in the most basic of terms of how your job works. I usually open up with like, well, so there's YouTube, and I make videos on YouTube, and ads are put in front of it. Like you just start in on this speech of how your job works, and when after all that, the first thing they say is, "What is a YouTube?" You go, "All right, I'm out." Like I'm not even gonna try to explain this anymore.
Oh man, that reminds me. One of my friends from college used to tell me what his high school teacher would tell him. He'd say, "You darn kids, watching the YouTubes, eating the pizza, jumping on dirt." And that was what he'd always say. I'm like, one, watching the YouTubes, that sounds really weird. Eating the pizza, that's probably valid. Jumping on dirt, I don't know if we do that. Do we do that? Do we
I've never
jump on
done that.
dirt? Okay, I've
Not
never
since
done
I
that
was a
either.
little kid.
Apparently, that's what the guy thought all of his students in high school were doing.
It's like saying
So there you go.
them kids with their Pac-Man and their music.
They're
It's like
Pac-Manis.
their Pac-Mans and their music. Like
Oh
whatever the fuck
man,
that even means.
no one does.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a good one. Broken Drum Set asks, do you ever worry about running out of space for games and consoles?
Oh hell yeah! I've gotten very creative over the years. Like I got towers in here. Everything's just up against the walls, trying to maximize that wall space. That way, there's maximum floor and wall space. But I'm told it's not aesthetically pleasing. It's more like functional.
Yeah, yeah, and I just kind of throw things around, and then now I'm slowly getting rid of stuff, giving it all to Adam.
Yeah, I noticed that. What's up with that shit? You guys see that? Like a few months ago, Chip brought me down and we hung out in Austin, Texas, which is a fucking awesome place, by the way. And like we were hanging out, and he just kept handing me video game things, like games, handhelds. Like I did videos on this stuff, and I brought it back. You guys can see it. Chip's out of control. You got a problem, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was stuff I just bought on a whim, and now I'm tightening my budget, so I got to get rid of stuff too. There you go. Let's see. Um, nope, that's not a good one. Oh, everything jumped away. Something about Happy New Year from Sweden.
What's up,
Nice.
man?
They're in the future.
Yeah, the mainland Europeans again. Happy New Year. You guys are talking to us from the future. Only about 32 minutes until the Irish, the British, and the Portuguese are going to be celebrating.
Huh. Let's see. This is kind of tied into the old people YouTube stuff. Simple Device Advice asks, how do you explain to the older generation that you make money through YouTube?
I have an actual speech for this, but when they don't understand the basics of like what YouTube is, you just stop and say you're a lawyer or something. Like it's fucking pointless. Like I can't really explain my job to people of my age range. So trying to explain it to older people has proven essentially impossible. So in an attempt to do that, there's always this grossly oversimplified way of doing it, which at times it comes off like I'm describing my job the way a 12-year-old would describe his dream job. because it sounds like it's all fun and there's nothing really hard about it, which is not true at all. But it's just impossible to explain the minutia of how it actually works.
Yeah. I mean,
Unless you actually do that, then you don't know.
for those of you that were listening earlier, you heard Adam describe his day, which is basically wake up and work and then go to sleep. Not the most fun, right?
No, it's not. No. I mean, I enjoy my job, don't get me wrong. It allows me a lot of liberties, but it's like, a lot of people think it's like, oh, I just turn on the camera and then I make like millions of dollars, which none of that is true. I wish it was. That'd be great, but no part of that is true.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wonder how much, because you see the spectrum, these the vloggers, right? All the daily vloggers that tend to that have been popping up. Some of them, like what's that guy's name that was really popular for a while? Casey Neistat, right? He was filmmaker. He had really high quality daily vlogs, almost like little mini movies. He put a lot of effort into those, and then you see other ones that still have a lot or more views, and you're like, did they just get like a old like 2000 camcorder and record, and then like this is not on the same level, and so it may just make you wonder if it's just a little bit about the YouTube algorithm magic, right?
It's mostly YouTube algorithm magic, and we should say this while we're using a webcam from the year 2000. So
exactly.
Well, it's not literally from 2000, but it sure feels like it.
Yeah, I actually have a new webcam, but I'm not using it because we're not showing video from my side.
Yep.
But it's a nice little Logitech one. It actually gets pretty good video.
Good.
You should get one.
Mine's a Logitech, some old 720p camera when 720p was like, holy shit, the future is here.
Hey, 720p is still the future for Dreamcast.
Nice.
It's amazing. All that VGA output. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, do you collect vinyl?
Only video game specific ones. A lot of the stuff by data discs I have.
Yeah, good.
And then I have a couple other random ones. Like in Australia, I'm giving some shout outs to Australia here. There was a Dreamcast collection vinyl and a Mega Drive with Genesis vinyl put out there. I thought that was cool. But beyond that, not really. The only other ones I have came with Mafia 3, like the ultimate deep cuts edition that 2K sent me, which I listened to that shit. That was actually really good. But no, in general, I don't collect vinyl. I'm musically retarded. Music has I'm not really passionate about it.
There you go. Yeah, I have one vinyl.
What's up?
I have one vinyl. It's from Data Discs. It's the Shenmue one.
Yeah, the Shenmue.
It's the Shenmue. Yeah, it's the Shenmue. It's the blue one because that was the only one left in stock when I was ordering it.
They just did new ones. One of them was Panzer Dragoon. I can't remember the other one, but I ordered both of those.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I don't have a vinyl player though, so it's just taking up space.
Yeah, I got one from a dude named Spock Avriel, who sent me one just randomly. Hell of a nice guy. But yeah, that's the one I use. I also have the one that 2K sent me, but everyone and their mother was like, "Do not use that. It's like a crappy USB one. It'll just rip up the discs." I was like, "Okay, no problem."
There you go. Let's see, more questions. Blah 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 blah. I just saw it and I forgot where it was again. It's something about in the world. Oh, here we go. Thimblan. Thimblan asks, in a world where all games are digital, would you rather play a digital game or never play a new game again? Emphasis on new, not meaning you go play retro games the whole time.
I would just go OG. I have no interest in playing anything digital. I know it's obviously an illogical standpoint to a lot of people, but you got to draw the line somewhere, man, and that's my line. I will not go with digital content.
The digital line.
Yeah, I have more than enough game content to last me for the rest of my life. I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got plenty of games I could play that are physical. I think I'd probably still play, if Half-Life 3 ever came out, I'd probably still play that. Other than that, there's not that many new games. I actually find that enticing right now. I find the indie games have gotten a lot better than they used to be. At least used to be in terms of what I remembered seeing when I was little to what I see now. That's not to say that there weren't very good indie games back in the day, whenever that day was. But I found more games that look appealing to me that are indie-based games. Maybe because the people that are making indie games now are people from my generation, so the games that they make are the ones that they like, which are hopefully similar to what I like.
Right on.
There you go.
My girlfriend just joined the chat. Fear her.
Hey!
She's fucking crazy. Like, she's got the clause is in the name. She'll ban your ass for anything. So careful.
Wonderful.
Yeah, she's dangerous. But hi.
Oh, I see her. Yeah, hello. What time is it for her?
She's in Portugal, so they're gonna. It's basically 11:34 there. They're gonna
11:34.
have New Year's in 25, 26 minutes.
Nice. She's joining you for New Year's just through the internet.
Yes, just to call me a bitch.
That's right. Let's
Anyway, next
see.
question.
You get to pick one now.
Oh fuck. Let's see here. This is a good one. Nerdy Fun asks, who would win in a fight, Deadpool or Darth Maul? I'm gonna go Deadpool because Darth Maul dies anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, he didn't
Deadpool
really if you go to
regenerates.
Clone Wars and stuff, but Deadpool, like, you cut him in half, he's just gonna like fuse back together. What are you gonna do to
Yeah.
him?
Oh yeah. Well, there's this whole. Oh man, I remember I got obsessed reading these Marvel comics. It was basically a like one of their what if scenarios, and I'm obsessed with zombies, zombie movies, all that kind of stuff. And so they had a what if all the Marvel heroes and villains became zombies.
Mm-hmm.
And so it became like a trilogy or something, essentially where like and they called it the Hunger. It was kind of weird. It's like one of them basically is like more and more heroes and villains are becoming like these hunger obsessed zombie like creatures that were basically still had all their powers. They were just overwhelming everyone. The second one, it was like, oh, if we starve them long enough, they get their humanity back as long as they don't eat more, or something like that. But then the third one was weird because it's basically just Deadpool centric, where it was Deadpool, but all these different different universes. There's Deadpool, there's the female Deadpool, there was Deadpool the dog, Deadpool like, and it was all these silly ones. Deadpool like the wacky neighbor kid, Deadpool the scientist, Deadpool like the Arnold Schwarzenegger version, like all these weird things, and they're all fighting the zombie versions of every other version of Deadpool plus like other heroes. It was weird, but it's pretty entertaining. But point is, Deadpool gets like torn in half, like eaten alive, all this kinds of stuff, and he still comes back. So yeah, he'd win.
To be fair, Darth Maul did get cut in half and he did come back, but God, that took a lot. So I'm gonna go with Deadpool on that one. There's a lot of people saying like, how come we're not answering their questions? There's no bias of any kind, guys. It's just there's a ton of questions and we tend to just go off. So it's like literally whichever comes to our attention at the exact moment we're ready for another question. That's what we go with.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
speaking of which, what do you got?
Let's see. I'm not going to answer that question. That was a rude question.
Wow, never mind, Chip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's
Well,
definitely some
oh,
troll questions in there.
here we
Those are
go.
the good.
What if Shenmue 3 was digital only?
That was the case for a little bit, and if you go back and watch what happened when that was the case, I basically told everyone like, it's here. I'm excited that it's going to be a thing. It's going to make a lot of people really happy. I'm not going to play it though. Until they very shortly after that did announce the physical PS4 edition, and then I was all for it. You know, I backed it even when it was digital only, just to help other people have that experience because I wanted the game to be good. But I wouldn't have played it. And again, I even when this was announced, that was my position, and it still is.
There you go. So thank goodness they have a PS4 version so
Yeah.
Adam can actually enjoy the game.
Physical PS4. I actually also backed, even though I will never use it, I backed for the physical PC edition as well.
Okay. Yeah, I can't
That's
remember
for
what I
just to
backed.
have, you know.
I know I was supposed to be like a little chibi character made or something.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of which, I guess a lot of people didn't know this. You can now, through the Slackerbacker Shenmue 3 campaign, you can now pre-order the PC version. I don't know if it's going to be available through Steam, though. I think that it's just going to be them doing their own thing. But that's finally a thing. It wasn't previously. You could only get the PC version if you head back to the Kickstarter. It is now more publicly available. So if you are interested in the PC version of Shenmue 3, it's now a possibility to go ahead and put in your order. And the money again goes to making the game better, not to recoup costs, which is the best part of it.
There you go. Let's see. Baker Skills 21 asks what your favorite Super Smash Brothers game is.
I know it's not the popular answer, but I'm probably just going to go with the N64 one because
Yeah.
probably because that's the one I simply played the most.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it was, man. When Melee came out, I just didn't care that much. I don't know. I think it was just kind of past that point for me for some reason, and I never really got too into the Wii or the Wii U or the 3DS ones. So I think kind of by default, the only one I spent a lot of time with was Smash Brothers for the N64.
Yeah, so the 64 I grew up with, and then the GameCube one came out. And I played that one for quite a while with a couple of friends. But then we ended up going back to the 64 version because we met some guy at my high school that was basically the guru of Super Smash Bros. 64. And we all played that a ridiculous amount. And I actually got some of my coworkers to play that a couple of months back. I took a 64 to our lab and played it. It's fun. You can actually, to me, it has some challenging mechanics. They took away in later games, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mrs. Claus says hello to you. She says she's never met you, but you seem cool.
Cool. Well, you seem cool as well.
Right
Never
on.
met you either. I think I've seen one live stream. I think you and Adam did together.
Yeah, probably the one we did in Austria.
Probably that's my assumption.
Yeah.
But that was it. Let's see. More questions. I don't know what that is. Favorite fighting game series. This is from
Dead or Alive.
GoDucksGo07.
Dead or Alive, hands down. There's no competition for me. None. Dead or
Have you
Alive
played
wins.
the? What was that Notorious game where they're playing volleyball or something?
Yeah, that's one. That's like a spin-off in the same franchise, but yeah. I'm talking
Have you
about the
played
fighting
that?
games. The volleyball games are terrible, but the fighting games are amazing.
Yeah, I imagine the volleyball games are terrible.
Yeah.
You don't get them to play for the gameplay, that's for sure.
Yeah, the third one wasn't even released here. It was only released in Asian countries, specifically Japan and at least Hong Kong. I'm not sure about mainland China.
Huh. There you go. Yeah, fighting series wise, I don't really have a favorite because I've not played that many fighting games. I'm trying to remember. I remember I played a really, what was it? It was like a Shaman King PS2 fighting game. That was like the first fighting game I think I played. Because I grew up with RPGs and puzzle games and stuff instead. What was that game? It's for the Dreamcast. It's school fighting or something.
Oh, Rival Schools.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Rival Schools?
And there was
okay,
a Dreamcast
yeah.
one called Project Justice.
That's the one. Yeah, okay. I have that one. That's fun. It's a fun game.
Yep.
I have no idea what's going on in the story, but it's a fun game.
Yeah, the story doesn't really matter. It's about the fight. It's about the gameplay.
Yeah, I quickly discovered that. That's
Like I don't
basically
play. All right, so I know it's kind of like saying you go to Hooters for the wings, but Dead or Alive, man, I swear the gameplay is the most fluid of any fighting game. I fucking love it. The Hooters per se is just the icing on the cake. But no, the gameplay is amazing in those games. Like even going back to like even where like the Sega Saturn one, it's like it's not sexually enticing to play that one. It's just a good fluid fighting game.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to remember if I've even played Dead or Alive. I don't think I have.
Yeah, those I really like those. I would say my favorite is probably Dead or Alive 5 or Dead or Alive 2. So there you go.
Why are those your favorites?
Probably because the ones I spent the most time with, and the ones I just
Nostalgia,
got
then?
the most into. Dead or Alive 5 is certainly the one I spent the most time with overall.
Okay. What system was that for?
Dead or Alive 5?
Yeah.
God, that was the epitome of re-releases. Okay, so it was on the 360 and the PS3. Then they did like super editions or whatever. I wouldn't call them definitive editions. They were just, they had more content. They were released like a year later. And then they re-released them both for the PS4 and Xbox One, even with even more content. And they still update that game and still put out new costumes and new shit all the time. So I keep waiting for some truly final definitive edition to be made, but it's yet to happen.
There you go. Let's see. More questions. Anthony Etner asks, what is your favorite console of choice and favorite console of this generation?
Oh, so this basically asking my favorites and the one I use the most?
I think it's more of what is your favorite console overall, and then if you had to pick one of the current generation, what is your favorite from that generation?
Okay, so my favorite console of all time is the Sega Dreamcast. No secret. Of the three current consoles, which one is my favorite is the Wii U. However, the Wii U is now, at the time we make this, completely irrelevant. But it's still the one I had the most fun with. So there you go.
Yeah, the current ones, I'd say Wii U. I actually don't own a PS4 or an Xbox One, mostly because a lot of the games that were coming out for those two systems were also available on the PC. And I also have a huge Steam library inside. If I cared, I'd get on the PC through Steam or something instead. Favorite console overall, though, it's probably a toss-up between. I'd probably say the PlayStation 1, although the Super Nintendo is pretty close behind. The PlayStation 1 had a lot of my favorite games on it. Suikoden was a very fun game. I always get this pronounced wrong. It's either Vagrant Story or Vagrant Story. One of those two was a fun RPG. Star Ocean, the second story, was a really fun one. A lot of RPGs. Final Fantasy Tactics was on that system. I absolutely loved the games that came out for that system. Ogre Battle, March of the Black Queen was remade for that. I think originally it was on the Super Nintendo. That was a fun one. So yeah, a lot of those games, like RPG strategy games, tactical RPGs, turn-based RPGs, all those. Let's see. Other questions.
Well, there's
Adam,
someone asking why you didn't say what your favorite fighting game series was.
Oh, because I don't really have a fighting series.
Like Rival Schools? Can we just go with that?
Yeah, actually, I think that's why I brought that up. Because I think that was like the only one I had played recently,
Well,
and
fine.
that
We'll
was
go with that.
I enjoyed it.
Victory.
It's for the Dreamcast, right? Or at least the one I was talking about was.
Right on.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, that works for me.
Let's see. Have you learned Portuguese?
No.
Are you planning to learn Portuguese?
No. I know 2 words.
What are the 2 words?
Hola and obrigado. It's hello, thank you. That's it.
Okay. Let's see. What was the first YouTube video you have ever watched?
I have no idea, dude. That goes back to that's literally almost 12 years ago. Like,
Yeah, I have no idea what I watched. It was probably something where a friend of mine that had already gotten into YouTube said, "Look at this weird video on this thing that's called the YouTubes," and then I watched it and it's like, "Oh, this is cool," and then I never went back to YouTube for like 5 years, and then I came back and started watching videos.
yeah, one of the motivations to create YouTube was to give people a safe space to make jackass videos, if you remember that at all.
No, I don't.
But I think that was probably one of the first things I ever saw, because when I was introduced to it, I'm sure my friend said basically that speech, and then he was like, "Here, look at it."
There you go.
That's probably what it was, but I don't actually remember it.
Let's see. Here's one for you, Adam. Stubby28182 asks, what made you want to make YouTube content?
So I went through film school, and upon graduation, like I always wanted to do film and video production, right? And for a long time there, before I was doing YouTube, I was doing a lot of short films, and at some point I just decided I wanted to give a place to host said short films, and that would be through YouTube. But I also thought it would be kind of helpful to expand an audience before just putting them out there with nobody who's going to watch you. And so I thought, all right, well, I could probably do stuff with like video games. I know a lot about video games, and it just kind of grew into that. And then for a while there, if you look back at the early days of the channel, I was throwing out those short films. But then it got to a point where people were like, I don't care about the short film, just give me the video game videos. So I just kind of stopped showing them. There's more that exist. I just never put them up anymore.
My brain stopped again.
That
You have to pick a
happens
question.
to you, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, all the time. Pick a question, Adam.
Do I own an HD CRT? No, I do not.
That was like the shortest question you could have possibly picked.
That was the first question in front of my face. Literally, the question after it is, do you own an HD CRT 2? It's from a second person asking the exact same question.
Oh dear. And now the questions jumped around again. Hold on. Someone asked, Raphael Ricci asks you why you do not like sports games.
Oh, I just don't care about the gameplay of it. Like I'd rather watch a sport than play it. That's how I've always been.
And I'd rather play a real sport than play a video game version, to be honest.
Yeah, if I was really interested in shooting hoops, I'd actually do it. But I don't do that either.
Although he could. He's very, very agile.
Am I?
Oh yeah. It's
I
amazing.
didn't know that.
Yeah, you get the moves.
Oh, thank you.
Let's see. What is the future of handheld systems?
This is really your territory, not mine.
Paul Eckert asks that. Handheld systems. So that's a tough one. Really, I mean, to me, there's only been, even though Sony's been in it with the PSP and to a lesser degree the PS Vita, and you've had other spin-offs like the Neo Geo Pocket during its time. Really, to me, the only one that's had a market for handhelds was and still is Nintendo. With the Game Boy Advance series, the DS, the 3DS. I mean, it's the only one that's done well. well enough to continue the whole trend. And seeing the Nintendo Switch, it really feels like they're trying to merge their markets together, consolidate their mobile market with their handheld market with their console based market with the Switch, which can do both, right?
Yeah.
Where sure the Wii U was kind of that way, where they're saying, hey, you can take the Wii U gamepad and play it in another part of the house, depending on the game. The Switch feels like they're really trying to push the aspect of it's a handheld and also you can play it against your TV. And I'm not quite sure what focus they're going to have. They're going to focus more on the take it with you where you go, which is what they basically did in the advertisement, right? They had you take it in a plane. They had you take it to a basketball court and not play basketball. They had you take it to like some rooftop party, and then they also had you just sit it in its charger in an apartment or something. And that's the case. They kill off if Nintendo kills off their handheld division in the sense of just the Nintendo 3DS or whatever would come after, and they don't have just a solid handheld market, I feel like it's going to kill off whatever was left of the handhelds in the traditional sense. Now, if you consider mobile phones as handhelds, I think it's booming. I think it's the biggest it's ever been, because you have Android devices, iOS devices, to a much lesser degree Windows devices, and some other spin-offs like the Ubuntu stuff that no one uses. So yeah, I feel like if we go with the traditional sense, I think it's coming to a close, because I believe the generation that appreciated those handhelds grew up in a time before those kind of games were remotely possible on a mobile device, other than a device tailored to gaming. And by that I mean, when I grew up with a Game Boy or a Sega Game Gear, I guess I actually forgot about Sega doing the portables as well, though I guess a lot of those were, Adam, correct me, weren't a lot of the Sega Game Gear games basically ports from
Master System.
the Master System? So they weren't really that many originals, right?
There were some, but not a whole lot.
Right, right. So to me, really, the one that kind of pioneered and kept the handheld gaming device going, that kind of market, was Nintendo.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to fold. I think it's going to fold. In terms of the Switch, I hope it does well, but I think it's even if Nintendo doesn't intend it to, I think it's going to cause, like, you're going to see any little kid that was playing with the 3DS or something will probably end up playing with the Switch instead, because that's the parents will just say, oh look, here's the new handheld thingy, and they're not going to really know, and they're just going to get a Switch, right? Because that's the one that's being sold now. So yeah, I think the traditional one's going to go away. That's thoughts there. Adam, anything?
No, I think you pretty much hit it out of the park there.
Here you go. Yeah, I ramble too much sometimes. Let's see. Adam, would you take a Nintendo Switch to a party?
No.
No, that's from Stuff We Play. Yeah, me either. That's something I would have done when I was maybe 12 or 13. I would have taken a Switch over to a friend's house if I was going over to play, but that's not what I do now. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. All these really silly questions, blah, blah, blah. I got one for you, Adam. It's not been asked yet. What percentage of this year do you think you spent traveling versus being at home?
I don't know. I know that I was in Canada collectively for about 5 weeks. I was in Europe collectively for about 4 weeks. And I was in California maybe collectively for like 2 weeks. New Jersey probably for about a week collectively. I know I was in Philadelphia for a while, like a few days. I was in Texas for what, like a week?
Yeah, about that.
I was in St. Louis for like half a week. I would say collectively in Wisconsin, I probably spent like a month up there. Then there was some time in Indiana and Michigan, and I'm trying to think if there was anywhere else. Was there anywhere else? I don't even remember.
You wouldn't, of all people, you would be the one to know.
I know. It's like it happens so often now. Like, I don't really remember. I think those were all the places. Was Toronto, Wisconsin, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Austin / Dallas, New York, or not New York, Newark, New Jersey, and Philadelphia, in addition to Dublin, London, and Paris.
It's a lot of places.
I don't think there was any place else. St. Louis was briefly in there. I think I mentioned that already. Yeah, I think that's it. So
Now,
if you add that all up, you're probably talking about like 4 months minimum, maybe 5 months. I was not home this year.
it's quite a lot of time.
Yeah.
Prior to this year, because I know you mentioned this at one point, that at some point you became kind of, you say you used to get homesick, and at this point, you've traveled so much, you've kind of been disconnected from what feels like home to you a bit.
Not exactly. All right, so the way I would describe this is whenever you cross an international border, you can kind of feel like there's this sensation like, ooh, I'm in another country. I'm not actually in my own country anymore. The last time I felt that was January 2016 when I crossed. I went into Canada like literally on January 1st, so in tomorrow, a year ago. And, I felt it. And I was like, ooh, but I lived up there essentially for like a month. And so when I crossed back, I didn't feel it. And then next time I went up there, I didn't feel it. And then when I went to Europe, I didn't feel it. The next couple times I went to Canada, didn't feel it. And as recently as when I went to Paris, didn't feel it. I think it's more like, okay, I'm just in another place. It doesn't have that feeling anymore.
Gotcha.
So
there you go. Let's see. Dustin Nunn asks, have you ever been to Ohio?
Yes. In fact, I was in Ohio very briefly earlier this year. I forgot about that.
There you go. So it's another place he's been. I can't remember if I've ever been to Ohio. I think I've not.
Yeah, I've been to all 50 U.S. states.
There you go. So any other state you want to ask who's been to? The answer is yes.
Yes, I have. This year, no, but I was in Ohio very briefly this year.
Let's see. Tomas Delizia asks, thoughts on the Fabula Nova Crystallis. It's... I don't know what that is.
Neither do I, so I can't answer it.
Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy 13-2, Lightning Returns, Type 0, Final Fantasy 15. Good grief, there are so many Final Fantasy games. I thought they had slowed down.
None of those. I do not follow Final Fantasy stuff, so I have no opinion.
Yeah, I know I've seen one YouTuber I follow. He had been playing a bit of Final Fantasy 15, I think. I stopped playing them. I think I played a bit of 12. I think that 12 was the last game for the PS2. And I played a little bit of that. To be honest, Final Fantasy is actually the biggest RPG series that I have not been into. I just haven't gotten into the series that much. I played a couple of the older ones when they were ported to the Game Boy Advance. But, yeah, I'm trying to remember if I know I played that weird, like, spin-off thing for the GameCube. It was like... What was it called? It was like Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles or something.
The GameCube.
Does that ring a bell? Yeah. It was weird. It's like this whole concept of miasma, and you're trying to avoid going to certain places or something. And I remember a friend of mine played Final Fantasy X, which apparently is very long. And 12 looked like it was going to be fun, and I played it for a bit. And then I had to go to college. And when you go to college, you can either play more video games or play less video games. And I played much less, because I had too much going on. So there you go. I don't know anything about those. So they could be a lot of fun, but I'm still catching up on a bunch of older games that I either played in my childhood that I want to finish, or that I bought and I really need to play to not say that I wasted my money buying this and not playing it. Right
on.
So there you go. Let me know if it's good.
We have some hellos from Mr. Vestek. What up, man? He says he's wishing us a happy 2017 from Ireland. In 2 minutes, it will be 2017 in Ireland, the United Kingdom, and Portugal. So Happy New Year to you guys. We'll talk about that more in a minute. But I guess I'll just pick this next question. What did I think of Windsor, Ontario when I was there? Windsor, Ontario is the Canadian side of basically where Detroit is. Both of those sides suck, to be brutally honest. Neither, Windsor, we didn't spend a whole lot of time there, but what we did do there was we basically, there was a couple of game stores we checked out, and I remember going to a Swiss Chalet, and I was like really excited because I fucking love Swiss Chalet. It's a Canadian rotisserie chicken place. And it was the one Swiss Chalet I've ever been to. We're like, oh, this was actually really bad, and the water wasn't good, and it was just like, oh, there's a reason people don't like Windsor, and there's a reason people don't really like Detroit either. I don't get it. There's like this thing where a lot of the border towns between the U.S. and Canada are shit on both sides. It's like, why are you doing that? Make those good. There's certainly exceptions, but I don't get that.
Yeah, let's see. What is that really weird place? I think we talked about this before. It's the northwest corner of the United States,
Okay.
and it's like this little peninsula.
Oh, the part of
And
Washington that's completely connected to British Columbia?
yeah, I think so. Is it like Point Roberts or something? I don't remember what it's called.
No, Point Roberts is well, actually it might be. I don't remember, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, why did I bring that up? I
I
forgot.
don't know. You're weird.
Oh well, it's gone now. That
People are
happens a
asking.
lot.
First of all, Happy New Year to the British,
Yay!
the Irish, and the Portuguese. Yay!
Happy New
We've been doing
Year!
this for a little over an hour, so we got to do this with mainland Europe, and now the side Europe. I don't know. What do you guys call yourselves? Like that specific time zone? Is there any other part to that?
Side Europe. That's what I'm
Yeah.
gonna start calling them.
Next up, I mean, we got a couple hours before anybody else comes in, but I think the next country up is going to be like Brazil, probably.
Hey, Brazil. I
Yeah.
have a couple of friends there. Actually, one of my close friends growing up, he's getting married in Brazil next week, I think.
Cool. Well,
Yeah, so
happy wedding or whatever.
yeah, he wanted me to come down, and I couldn't afford to come down at that point. So apparently, you actually need a visa to go down there too.
Yeah, you
It's
do.
odd.
I was curious about that because I was started looking into like which countries I could or couldn't go to with relative ease, and Brazil is not particularly easy. It's not
Yeah,
impossible, but it's got a lot of extra red tape.
yeah. I mean, I wonder if it's going to improve because it was Brazil where their president was impeached, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I know that president that was impeached did not like the U.S., and then the current one is more in favor. So maybe they'll improve their visa
But
stance. I don't.
I don't know a whole lot about their politics, but I think the current one is pretty corrupt too, and that's causing
Oh, is it?
problems.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's an interesting. I mean, I do not to any Brazilians watching, I do not claim to be an expert on the inner workings of your country, so I do not intend to offend any of you by any of just we're Americans. We're trying to learn, but we're like a special needs group of people. Like we don't really know much about the rest of the world. We try to learn, we try so big, but we're not it's not brought up here that much.
Specifically me. I am the worst with this stuff.
Yeah.
So
So I try to better myself by going to other places and like learning about other cultures like firsthand. But the truth is, with countries like Brazil, it's just too hard to get there. Like from here's what I know about if I wanted to go there. I would first have to find either a Brazilian embassy or a Brazilian consulate, and there does happen to be one in Chicago. So I would have to like make an appointment to go there and all that. Then I would have to go there and they basically do a background check on me, and I'd have to pay them some fee, like $150 to run that and all that stuff. And so then after all of that, if they approve me, then I can go. And the maximum amount of time I can stay is about a month. If I want to stay any longer than that, I have to like give them access to my bank account. And to prove
what?
that I have to, no, seriously, to prove it that I have intention of returning to the United States and I'm not like illegally moving to Brazil. And it has to have some specific amount of money, something like $70,000 in it. I don't remember all the specifics. I just remember kind of reading a little bit about it and being like, oh shit, okay.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot more than I thought. Because I did not bother to go through and read everything after I saw
Yeah,
how complicated it
I
was.
don't remember the number. It may not be as high as 70,000, but it's just to prove that you have enough assets that you're not just jumping ship and trying to illegally get into Brazil, because Brazil and the United States don't have extradition policies with each other. So it's kind of like, you know how in movies when criminals like cross the border into Mexico and they're like, oh, we can't get them, he crossed into Mexico. There is extradition policy with Mexico. You can get in under the right context. With Brazil, no. If the criminal makes it to Brazil and the Brazilian government lets him stay, there's nothing the Americans can do about it.
Adam, real quick, Mrs. Claus is leaving. Say bye.
Bye. Sleep tight. Happy New Year.
Bye.
Bye. I'm sure a lot of you are going now because it's midnight over there and you made it to New Year's. So Happy New Year's to all of you over there.
We're still here.
Well, we're still
like
here because it's only 6 p.m. for us.
Woo!
All right. What else you got?
Let's see. Have you played Oblivion or Morrowind? I bet you haven't played either one.
No. We've done a little bit with them for our other channel, Game Society Pimps, but not much. Mostly we focused on Skyrim.
Yeah, I know some of my like one of my friends was big into Morrowind.
Yeah.
A different one of my friends was big into Oblivion. At the time of those two games, I'm trying to remember. I think one of them came out. I think at least Oblivion came out on the Xbox 360.
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't have one at the time. I didn't get an Xbox 360 until college. Um, but I didn't have a computer. I basically had like an old like Windows 95 computer until my junior year of high school, and then I bought a MacBook, which couldn't play those games anyway, and used that until I basically graduated college. Um, so the answer is no. I've not played either one. I've played Skyrim. I've played Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout 4. Yeah, haven't played the older versions of the Elder Scrolls series.
I'm going to get back to that in 1 second, but I want you to say hello to Corey Marsh. I'm sure you remember him from all the podcasts.
Corey, he's back again.
What up, Corey?
The champion, the corester, the corastic, the coordinator. There you go.
Yeah, Corey's a good dude. I'm gonna have a very cool video coming up, hopefully next month. That's solely because of him. I kind of talked about it, I think, in the podcast, so you guys will see it. Corey, thank you again for that. That video, I hope, is gonna be awesome. Going back to Elder Scrolls, you know there is actually an Elder Scrolls game exclusively on the N-Gage?
No, I did not know that.
It's
and
called,
you have a full
Shadow
N-Gage
Key or
collection,
something
right?
like that? Say what?
Okay. I was asking you have a full N-Gage collection, right?
-1. I don't have the Warhammer game.
The Warhammer game. Okay.
Yeah. The way I found, all right, so I thought I had a full set, and then this Warhammer game, when I was doing the list back in the day, I was like, couldn't find it anywhere, right? And then I thought, I'd been reading enough about it where it sounded like it had never actually been released. It was just one of those games that was like 100% done, but they never put it out. So I was like, oh, I guess it really doesn't exist. So I scratched it off the list. And then like a couple years ago, I'm watching a Pete Dorr video, and he's going through his like collection of stuff, and he's showing that fucking game in his N-Gage collection. I'm like, oh my god, it exists! Now I have to find it, and I haven't been able to do that yet.
Are you actively looking for it, or are you just gonna say, okay, that happens?
I've looked into it every once in a while. It's a very expensive game.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But how expensive are we talking about? Give me a price.
Like the loose cartridge of it is like $100 if you can find it.
Ooh.
And that doesn't include the manual or the book or anything.
Man.
Yeah. So
That's expensive.
One day. Corey says Corastic. I think he liked that.
Oh, good.
Sorry, everybody. Let's get back to some questions from you guys. We kind of went off subject here for a bit. So if you are just joining us, Happy New Year, mainland Europe. Happy New Year, Western Europe, the UK, Ireland, Portugal. We're just doing Q&A. I'm with Chip. He is the co-star of my podcast, which you guys should definitely listen to, the Figured Out Cast. It's Patreon backers get it like right away, as Corey Marsh could tell you. We'll be recording it tomorrow, so the new episode would come out like the 2nd, probably. And if you're not into that, that's totally fine. It comes out publicly at the end of the month, generally around the 27th. But if I just want to say, if you guys don't mind, can you hit that like button? I hate asking you. You know I hate it, but I have to ask you because that's what YouTube wants, to make sure that these videos actually get seen by people. So I appreciate that. And now we will get on to the questions. Do you want me to pick a question, Chip, or do you want to do
real quick? A couple people have asked over time if the podcasts are on iTunes or something else. They are on iTunes. They are on Podbean. You can get them on Pocket Cast and that kind of stuff. You just have to look for Adam Koralik Patreon podcast. I have not changed the name to Figure It Out Cast yet. So there you go.
There you go, everybody. You can find them there, but it's always released at the same time as the public version. So at the end of the month.
Yep.
So if you missed it, our podcast, the December episode, actually only came out like 4 days ago. So you can go check that out if you're interested.
Let's see. Should driving education be taught using virtual reality?
I would say no.
Yeah, I'd say no.
Like
you don't get the same feel.
Using a video game to teach that. I mean, I guess you can make the argument that flight simulators kind of work like that, but they're only going to give you like real basics. They're not going to give you like the hands-on experience that you would need. I would say it couldn't hurt to do that first, but I wouldn't consider someone a competent driver until they're actually using a car.
Yeah, I'd rather hope for us to just phase out people driving cars in the first place before we switch to teaching people how to drive cars through virtual reality.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. What do you think of new hardware for old systems like the retro USB NES? What is that?
Like the new controllers?
I have no idea what the retro USB NES is. Will we see more old hardware?
I think what he's talking
idea.
about, if you go into a lot of used video game stores now, you will see like newly manufactured NES or SNES controllers that are by third-party companies. And so the question is, I assume, what do we think of that? I guess that's good for people who want that. I personally, I mean, I have the original versions, and I would always tell you get the original versions because they're going to be better quality products. Those things are basically designed to trick you into thinking they're just as good, playing off of your nostalgia. They're not usually built anywhere near as well. But you can't, it's not like Nintendo is making new controllers for their retro consoles, with the exception of the Smash Brothers GameCube controller they were doing for a bit. So I get why people do that, but I wouldn't personally support those.
Let's see. Dustin Nunn asks, "Do you like anime?" I don't think you do. Do you?
No.
And I think we talked about this before in some other podcast, maybe. But I like the older anime. I thought I used to like newer anime, but it turns out a lot of things I like are from anywhere from the 1980s, 1990s, and early 2000s. Then after that, it kind of petered off. Let's see. Do you prefer GoldenEye or Conker's Bad Fur Day?
Ooh. I would definitely. Conker's Bad Fur Day is probably the better game, but I definitely have more fun with GoldenEye.
Okay. Did you ever play the GoldenEye multiplayer?
The Source thing? No. It's
No.
PC, dude. I don't care. Or are you talking about just the multiplayer of the N64 version?
The multiplayer of the N64 version.
Oh, not much. I was never into the multiplayer aspect of that game, which I know is heresy to a lot of people. You know, the funny thing about that is that the multiplayer was an afterthought that they built in about 6 weeks.
Huh.
Yeah, they just kind of put it in. They didn't realize it was going to be the part that was the most popular.
Interesting. Yeah, I never actually played the multiplayer. I played the single player because the campaign was fun. But let's see. What's your favorite food?
Oh, I'm probably going to go with deep dish pizza.
Deep dish pizza. I definitely like sushi a lot.
I love sushi. That's what I had
Sushi's
right before the
fantastic.
stream.
And oddly enough, I had pizza, so it's like flip-flopped. Let's see. What is virtual reality good for? Do you want to try that one?
Well, okay, so I've used it a couple of times now. And I don't really care much for it in video games. Like, the game has to be really tailor-made for it to be interesting that way. Like, I played Werewolves Within, which is a Ubisoft game, where the whole idea of the game is you sit there and you have, like, clues about each other and stuff, and you figure out who's the werewolf. That was fun, but, like, it requires a lot of people to make something like that work. And I don't know, man. I've never been too down on the whole idea of virtual reality and stuff for video games. I think it's a novelty that isn't going to last particularly long. It might have more practical applications in like the medical field and training and stuff like that. Not so much in video games as a source of entertainment. But that's how I see it.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a niche market, the virtual reality stuff. I did just get a game called Tabletop Simulator, which I believe has Vive support. Which Vive is one of the VRs that has like little controllers you can hold in your hands to kind of do more gestures and motions and grab things. But it's not as clunky as like a Wii U, not a Wii U, a Wii remote. It's actually like detecting the depth and everything, similar to how I guess not in the same technological way, but just how you think about it in terms of depth as the Kinect, right? But much better.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, what I'm getting at is that with a Vive, you could basically be at a virtual table with some friends that live, different parts of the country, and use your hands to pick up pieces, move them around, put down cards, and it's a whole lot easier to control than the mouse and keyboard, from what I've been told. I don't have a Vive, but several of my coworkers do, and we're going to give it a shot soon.
Right on.
So, I think simulation or times when a mouse and keyboard or controller don't give you that kind of the control you need in a certain light. Maybe VR can be like another form. I honestly think VR will be, for a while anyway, it'll be an add-on to games. There are going to be some games that are built to try to be gimmicky and use VR, but you're seeing a bunch of games where it's like VR is an option you can use alongside the existing game.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, I prefer to use mouse and keyboard for this game, or a controller, or VR, right? For certain games, and it's kind of like how, if you played Resident Evil 4, depending on what system you played it on, but you could either use a controller, like a GameCube controller, or you could use the Wiimote on the Wii, right? Different kind of input to use for the same game. So I could see VR being used as another kind of like an alternative controller type thing, but I don't see it taking over and replacing existing games or the existing game market, because the existing game market is not in the space that VR is really in right now. The most people that are playing games are the people playing mobile games, casual puzzle games, that kind of stuff. They're not playing hardcore games, which is what VR is tackling, is trying to put hardcore games into a virtual space.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's some thoughts.
You crushed it.
Let's see. Adam, pick a question.
Oh, Chip, do you listen to music?
Yeah, anything but country, and I don't like modern rap, or actually, I don't like a lot of the modern music in terms of pop and rap and stuff, but I liked a lot of the older pop, like the 80s and 90s pop and some 2000 pop. I like a lot of classical. Classical is what I listen to a lot. I also like a lot of jazz. I think my favorite band, though, is Gorillaz. They aren't around anymore, although there's rumors they might come back. I really like Gorillaz. In fact, I was listening to Gorillaz on my flight back here. Feel Good Inc. Is it's a pretty popular one. It's one of my favorites too. So there you go. Adam, I know you're not a music man at all.
Not in the slightest.
But I think you said like 10.
I can maybe name 10 bands in the history of
all right, Adam, go for it. Let's see how many you can name.
I'm not doing it. No.
Come on.
Nope.
Come on.
Nope. Move on.
No. Everyone's going to start spamming Adam. Do it.
It's fine.
Adam, Music Man.
Nope. I know nothing about music. I'm like musically retarded, dude.
I want to hear what names you think are band names.
What I think are band names? Like I just invent stuff, like the Angry Puppy or something. Like that's the name of a band.
That's a band.
Sure.
They do punk music.
Oh, okay, good. What's punk?
No, I'm kidding. I'm making that up. I have no idea.
I would believe you. I don't know anything about music, man.
All right. Well, okay. The Infinite Critic said, I guess for one of the previous questions about old hardware, he said that he thought the guy meant, what do you think of clone systems like the Retron 5?
Oh, fuck that crap.
Yeah,
that's
so there you go.
designed to trick you into buying it. That's terrible products.
Yeah, I can't really comment because I don't own any clone systems other than, I guess I consider this a clone system, kind of. And you have one too, Adam, right? Where is that thing? It was the Neo Geo X, right?
Oh, God. The one console in my collection I own that I regret buying, and I've said this before, I own a Tiger R-Zone. I don't regret it. But I do regret the Neo Geo X.
There you go. Oh, here's a good one. What is your favorite video game song or soundtrack?
Yeah, I've actually, I always say Shenmue because it really is, but people think like, oh, that's not a good answer because that's your favorite game. It's like, yeah, okay, fine. So I've always said then Metal Gear Solid or like Resident Evil. I just really like the music to those. But, and I've even said this before, Runbow, a game I've never even played. The score to that is amazing. I love it. It's a Wii U game. I think it came out on other platforms too, but when you get the Wii U version, it comes with like a digital code to download like the album, and so I just listened to it for the hell of it, and I was like, holy shit, this is actually really good. I find a lot of video game scores are actually pretty good. The one I listened to most recently was Shantae, the Half Genie Hero. They did the Wii U version came with a music CD, so I listened to that.
Nice.
I was like, oh, this is not amazing, but it's not bad. I'd probably get into this.
Yeah. Video game music's definitely nice, and I listen to a lot of remixes and custom music made through a site, or a lot of artists make that, and they submit it to a site called OC Remix. Since for Overclocked Remix, I think. A lot of good stuff there for a bunch of your video games that you like. Zelda, Mega Man. They actually have some Suikoden, like a couple of Suikoden songs that are pretty fun. So if you want a little bit of nostalgia, just to kind of hear what artists like their own take on songs from games that they grew up with, it's pretty fun. And there's a radio station, like an online radio station that basically plays a variety of their songs. You can kind of vote on what songs you want to hear. I think it's called rainwave.cc. They're pretty fun. You can either stream through the browser, or you can get an MP3 or OGG Vorbis stream you can listen to. So I've done that before as well. I've listened to the streams while I work. In terms of actual video game soundtrack, I think Suikoden has a very lovely soundtrack. There's a reason why there are more musical soundtracks released for Suikoden than there are Suikoden games, and that includes like piano spin-offs, jazz spin-offs. I think there's like one rock spin-off. They're all very good, and they're all incredibly expensive to buy because they're basically only sold in Japan. And they even had like live concerts. They went around doing different kinds of variations, but they're all very good. So I definitely say Suikoden series has good stuff. And there's one other series that I think had a really good music. Obviously, Chrono Trigger has great music as well, and it's been done to death. A lot of those really famous ones have pretty good music. Let's see. A lot of people
before you do, I'm
British New
giving
Year.
people a 10-minute warning. I think we're going to go in like 10 minutes because we've been going for actually almost 2 hours.
Yeah, that works.
All right, so like 10 minutes, guys. 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Let's see. Favorite game from the 5th generation? Which was the 5th generation?
That's N64, PS1, Sega Saturn.
Okay.
I'd probably maybe Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear Solid?
Yeah, that might be my answer.
The original?
Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, the 5th, since it includes the PS1, I mean, it's got a lot of my favorite RPGs. I've talked about it several times, so I'd probably say Suikoden. And I grew up with the first one. I didn't have the second one, but I played the second one now. But I say the first one then. Adam's not leaving yet. Red Summers. Adam's here for 10 more minutes.
I think he might be leaving.
Oh, because a little he says, "Hey, hello, Adam," and then later he says, "Bye, Adam."
Yeah, he might just be in and out.
Okay, bye, Red Summers. Chip says bye too. Let's see.
Chip started speaking in the third person.
Chip likes to speak in the third person.
He does.
Makes it easier.
He does.
Everyone's saying Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year, guys. Especially if you're in Europe, you guys are completely covered now.
Completely covered.
Mm-hmm.
Adam, do you prefer the GameCube or the N64?
Probably GameCube. I think it's a better system, although I won't lie, I've definitely had more fun on the N64. I have more memories of it because I was still like a relatively young kid when I was playing the N64. But GameCube probably overall is the better console.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of. I just remember the GameCube had Wind Waker on it, and I was so angry at near the end of Wind Waker they make you go around fishing for the Triforce, and it's notoriously long and boring. I was so angry as a kid I took it to an electronic boutique store and sold it for $5.
Nice.
Yep. Whoops, that was a mistake.
Well, now that they re-released it for the Wii U, didn't you say at one point they changed that?
Yeah, they released it for the Wii U, remastered, so that's fine, and they shortened that part because they knew how bad it was. That's the cool thing about when Nintendo re-releases new games or old games. They don't just say, well, here's the exact copy of the game. They do a lot of cleanup, and it's not just fixing the graphics too. They listen to some of the feedback that they've gotten over the years and will improve it, which is nice.
Right on.
Let's see. Favorite game on the Game Boy from Chris Kringle.
Kirby's Dream Land.
Kirby's Dream Land. That's a good one. Are we talking about the original Game Boy?
Yeah.
Because Pokemon was for Game Boy Color. No, that was for original Game Boy too, right?
I couldn't tell you. That wasn't mine. That wasn't my thing.
I think Pokemon was. I think they actually had some code in the Pokemon cartridge. Several games did for Game Boy that if you put in a Game Boy Color, it would like turn the palette to one color. So blue was a blue palette, red was a red palette. I think. So probably a Pokemon game on the original Game Boy. I can't really remember that many games I played on the original Game Boy because I lost them all, and then I started collecting Game Boy Advance games, and then I lost all those. So now I have DS games. But let's see. What is the best Star Wars video game?
My personal favorite is Star Wars Battlefront 2, OG Xbox.
There you go. I don't have a favorite Star Wars game. Oh, no, I do. There's a 64 game. It's a Rogue Squadron, I think.
Rogue Squadron's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, it was hard. I never really beat it.
Yeah, I always tended to play that one with Game Shark.
Yeah, because you want to get to the later levels where you'd enter the cheat code chicken, and you'd need to play as what are those stones called? Not the AT-AT. Or is that the AT-AT?
ATSTs?
There you go. I think it's one of those.
Yeah.
Let's see. Paul A asks, has anyone made a comparison with my name and my job? Yes, many times. Many times. Too many times. Let's see. What is your favorite chocolate, Adam?
Milka Bars.
What was that other one that we were talking about where the guy said that like the thing in Germany that you said was made in Wisconsin or
No,
something?
no, no, no. That's German Coca-Cola.
Okay, and you can buy that in Wisconsin 'cause it's made in
No,
Chicago or
you're
something?
thinking of a drink called Spetsy. That's how that all started. Either way, we're talking about sodas. That's
Okay.
sodas.
Yay, tangent. Do you prefer Super Smash Brothers or Mario Kart?
Mario Kart.
Um,
Like I've gotten
I
into all the
played.
Mario Karts save for the SNES one, but with Smash Bros, I really only got into the N64 one.
Yeah, I don't know. I played both of them equally with a bunch of my friends. I'd say probably Smash Brothers by a little bit because that's what I played most recently. Uh, oh, cheers from Korea. So
Yo, what's
someone's
up?
watching from Korea.
You guys are very much in the future.
Yeah, they well in technology and in time.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. What are your thoughts on the DC universe?
The movie universe?
I don't know. They just said
I
DC
I actually
universe.
did last year. I did like a 2-hour live stream just talking about what was wrong with the DC universe and like what to do with it. You could just go watch that.
There you go. Go watch this video.
Yeah,
I
I
don't,
would
I
tell
don't,
you, but like it took me 2 hours to get it all out. So
yeah, I don't really have a thought. I mean, other than knowing a little bit about Superman and Batman and that kind of stuff, the most I watched from other characters is when they had the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited shows,
hmm
which are pretty good to me. But I don't know how they hold up in terms of quality of the characters in comics and all that stuff.
that question about the DC universe was actually aimed at you specifically.
Yeah, when they're aimed at one person, I usually just read it out to both.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Is the Switch going to be all Wii U ports?
I doubt that, but like, it wouldn't surprise me if that's how it starts.
Okay, there you go. That's the answer. Adam's never wrong. Um, what is this? Driver 3?
It's a video game.
Have you played it before?
No.
Okay. The end. I have all these short questions. Um, Adam, will you ever start a Twitch channel?
No. I have
There you
one
go.
for commenting purposes in the event that I ever need it, but I don't. No, I'm not going to stream on Twitch. No.
Is it just easier to keep YouTube for everything?
Yeah, I don't need Twitch for any reason.
Well, would Twitch even allow this? Because this is not really a gaming.
I mean,
I
they'd let
mean,
me play video games on there, but like, I don't. I never stream games except on Game Society, and we just do that on YouTube.
yeah. Let's see. Someone, Corone Games Go asked, "Will we get more licensed movie games like in the '90s?" Well, I mean, we've been getting licensed movie games constantly, but with the '90s were the good ones, right?
I
Or
think
is
he
it?
means like Street Fighter the movie, the game.
Oh, oh, okay.
Is that what you
Uh,
mean?
I don't know what I mean.
Or do you
I
mean
don't know
just
what
like, movie games like, oh, Iron Man's a movie, so they made a game for it?
I don't know. I just read a
I
question.
know, I'm trying to get him to clarify.
Okay, that person will clarify. And meanwhile, did Sega make a mistake by selling the 2K Sports Series?
So the story behind that, which is funny because I've hung out at the 2K headquarters and even they don't know this. So what happened was that Sega was trying to compete really head on with EA with sports stuff, and then EA signed that deal with the NFL for exclusive NFL rights. And so at that point, Sega basically decided there was no more point to this because you needed to be able to sell NFL games to do anything with this. So they sold Visual Concepts to Take-Two Interactive. And Take-Two basically merged with them and created 2K, the guys we know now. And all they do with sports anymore is the NBA series. But the NBA series has been wildly successful to the point where it actually pushed EA out of the NBA entirely. So it's kind of interesting in a sense it got its comeuppance against EA. But to say it was a mistake, I don't know. Sega sold them for something like $26 million. If Visual Concepts has since made more than $26 million, then yes, it would have been a mistake. But under Sega's lack of leadership, I doubt that Visual Concepts would have been particularly successful with the NBA franchise.
There you go. I don't have any thoughts on that one. So
All right, give us a final question, then we out of here.
I'm gonna let you decide, Adam.
This is always where it takes. Well, if you see any power questions that you want to go at while I'm trying to pick one, let's do it.
Sure. Favorite or favorite company between Microsoft and Apple?
Oh,
Uh,
Microsoft. The only thing Apple that
yeah.
I own is the Pippin. What does that tell you?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a favorite between those two. They both have their pluses and minuses. Um, let's see.
5200 Jaguar.
Uh, yeah, there's not any other questions.
How much are you into Star Wars?
Let's see. I mean, I've watched all the mainstream movies. I
Did you
just
see
finished
Rogue One?
watching. Yeah, I saw Rogue One like
Someone
a
was
week
asking about
ago.
your thoughts on Rogue One. You tell them while I look for a question.
Okay, Rogue One. Can we do spoilers on this or not?
This is your spoiler warning, everybody. Rogue One, we're going to talk about. Well, he's going to talk about. I already did a 2-hour stream about Rogue One.
Yeah, I didn't watch it yet because I didn't want to be spoiled by it when you
You jerk.
were doing that. Let's see. So Rogue One. Um, it was interesting to follow. I think what I enjoyed most about it was because it actually tied in, like it was literally trying to explain what happened that led right up to, I guess, Princess Leia and her escape from uh, Darth Vader. I felt like some of the I don't know how to describe it. It wasn't the most amazing movie to me, but it wasn't the worst of the Star Wars that I've seen. I definitely liked it a lot more than I did the one, whatever one was.
Force Awakens.
There you go. I liked it a lot more than Force Awakens. I can't really describe why. Uh, maybe it's even though I also saw it coming. Maybe it's just refreshing to have a movie where the heroes did not live in the end, right? The characters you were following basically all died. Although I felt a little silly because basically, as the movie progressed, it's like, okay, they killed off this one. Now they're going off to a little bit of scene with this person who's about to die next, and they go off to this scene with this person who's doing something, and then will die, right? And it's basically like a continuous like, okay, we need to wrap this up, and let's just kill off every single character, which I thought they could have been more creative with the universe and had some of them somehow escape. Maybe they do. Maybe in the comics or the books or something they do. But I
No, they're
liked it
very
overall. No, they're all dead?
Yeah.
Okay. I figured as much. I didn't know if there's going to be some magical plot hole or a loophole where it's like, oh, this person somehow was. You didn't see the movie, but they escaped through a spaceship or something. Yeah.
We
Yeah,
know
I
in
figured it all.
earlier versions they weren't going to die. Like Gareth Edwards wanted them to, but he didn't think Disney would let him do it, so he had it all planned that they don't die. And then he just still shot the version when they die, and then Disney never said no, so that's the way he kept it.
Huh. What I think would have been interesting, and this is just like this is a cool what if scenario. I've been looking for movies where they paint a hero or a series of heroes and they don't win at all, right? They fail and the movie ends with, oh well, maybe in the future someone else will win, right? And what I was hoping to see actually was before I realized, oh, that they're going to try to get the plans for the Death Star, was I was hoping it was something else, like trying to maybe destroy the Death Star, because I didn't know what time it took place at that point, because I had not watched any of the previews, and it would have been them dying trying to do it and not succeeding, right? Just to have like a more of a sad, depressing end to a series, or something that's more realistic than every single movie you see always having the heroes do something, even if they don't survive, they complete their goal, right? But of course, that didn't happen. So,
It
all
kind
right,
of
that's
did
it.
because their goal was to get the plans to destroy the Death Star, and it was destroyed. Just they didn't live to see that part.
No, and that's what I'm saying. They succeeded in their mission of getting the plans off, like out of the. I wanted to see them fail.
Oh, but
I
they
wanted
had
to actually.
like that's how the story goes.
Right. And I'm saying once I realized that's what they were doing, I'm like, of course that's what. Of course, this is thing set up for them to get the plans and pass it along. But that's what I was saying before I knew what they were doing. Right, when I just thought it was like just some part of the Star Wars universe, I was hoping it was going to be a thing where they just they tried to do something and they failed. Right.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if they had the plans for the Death Star and they tried to, already, and they were trying to destroy it, and before Luke Skywalker goes out and destroys it with his magic Force Fu, they had a different mission with a different crew who build up, and then they all die trying to do it. Right? Just something as a twist, something more of a twist than just whether or not they live, they accomplish their goal. That's what I was not wanting to see. Kind of. So there you go.
All right. Okay. Well, staying with the theme of Star Wars, I guess we have a question I thought was pretty good. So this is gonna be our final question, everybody, and then we're gonna head out. So thank you for watching thus far, and this has more to do with Star Wars. So there you go. I believe it was Anthony Etner who asked what our thoughts are on the idea that now that rest in peace Carrie Fisher, like what impact that's going to have on Star Wars Episode 8. And I guess Star Wars in general. So I will say that first, we know that she completed her work for Star Wars Episode 8. She shot everything, all her post is done, everything involving her is done. So that movie itself probably won't be massively affected. But my guess is whatever plans they had laid out for Episode 9 and beyond are obviously kind of screwed. So they're probably going to do something to kind of make her go away in that movie. I don't know. The logical thing is find a way to kill her in that film. I just, I don't know. I wonder what the impact of that is, but obviously she won't be in anything after that. There might be like parts where they CGI her into places for like a scene here and there, kind of like they did with Grand Moff Tarkin and young Leia in Rogue One, stuff like that. So it's really anybody's guess. I don't envy the people at Disney who have to figure this out, because they're in heavy post-production on Episode 8 right now, and for them to have to like suddenly do a bunch of rewrites, that's not good.
Okay, before we jump further into this, I actually just remembered something I was going to ask you.
Sure.
About Rogue One, and maybe you answered this in your other video, but I haven't watched it yet.
Sure.
The guy, and I am not good with Star Wars. The guy that basically was running the Death Star,
In
the
Rogue
general
One?
no, the guy that he basically was reporting to, that was basically from the original movies.
Grand Moff Tarkin.
I guess that's his name, yeah. Was he CGI'd in that movie?
In Rogue One, he was pure CGI, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Like his face was. He was actually the body of Guy Pearce.
It looked so noticeable. It's the first time I've noticed a CGI character so much, right? It looked so fake. I was like, it's ridiculous how fake it looked.
Yeah.
There we go. That was it. I just want to make sure that was...
Yes, I did talk about that at length in my video. I didn't dislike it. It more like threw me off the first time. And then the second time I had an easier time accepting it, probably because I knew it was a thing.
Yeah.
But the problem with Peter Cushing's face is that it's so detailed. It's really hard to make that look realistic.
Right.
With the current technology. I mean, who knows? It is Star Wars. They might, for an ironic term here, they might George Lucas it later and make it look better, but... But
yeah, it's true.
Yeah, but anyway, back to what do you think about the impact of this on Episode 8 and beyond, the untimely passing of Carrie Fisher?
Like you said, if they've already filmed all of her parts for Episode 8, unless they have to basically jerry-rig some kind of alternative bit of the story to get her out, and they're trying to do it in Episode 8 or Movie 8, I don't think it's going to affect it too much. Do you know if they've recorded or they had started recording at all the following movie after Movie 8?
The Han Solo movie?
No, just whatever the follow-up is to, like, 'cause they're doing they're alternating, right?
The Han Solo movie is the one that comes out after Episode 8. I believe they're in heavy pre-production of that.
Okay.
But if you're talking about Episode 9, that's in like the earliest of pre-production.
Okay. And the only thing I could think of is, because they did this, I think they did this with, it's interesting, they did this with the Walking Dead TV show. Do you know that at all?
I don't watch it yet. No, I haven't seen it.
Now, it wasn't for if a character died in real life, but they basically, to avoid leaking problems, they actually recorded death scenes of multiple characters. Mm-hmm. Such that if it got leaked out which character was going to die at the beginning of a season or an end of a season, they just say, oh, no, it's this character instead, and kill that person off.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. It's an interesting idea, and I guess that means all those people's contracts were kind of, up for, like, okay, your contract might end if we have to kill you off instead of this other person.
That's an interesting way of writing it, yeah.
It is. And what I was thinking was, I doubt they did this, but what if they had recorded, just clips of characters like Carrie Fisher's character in a death scene, or at least some scene that they could potentially use as a plot device to say that they're gone, right? Or don't appear in following movies, just as like a backup plan in case something happens with these large-scale movies. Do they do anything like that?
I have no idea. None of us know.
Yeah, because that would be an interesting thing, right? Because you say, well, if they somehow can splice some footage together, but some of the footage is so on par with just like explaining where they go. It's like, where did that come from? It's like, what if they just recorded that as one of their many backup alternatives? Having protective options. It's like when they were making the the Lord of the Rings movies and then later the Hobbit 3 movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially the Hobbit movies, I was very concerned um, for the age of some of the cast. I mean, they were so old by that point. I can't remember what the guy's name is now. He plays Magneto and Gandalf.
Ian McKellen.
Right. He's getting fairly old. And so it's like, oh man, if they're, luckily the way that they shoot those films, they shoot them all at once and then do the production afterwards. So once they finish filming, you're good to go with the whole series. But it's like, do production companies ever consider we have an aging cast and it's supposed to be a long running series. Do they try to put little temporary protective plans in case something goes wrong or one of their older cast members dies, right? Do they ever do that?
I'm sure there are examples of it, but I don't have any.
Okay. Complete tangent makes me think of what are those? It was like these old plans that I know that England had, the U.S. had, a couple. I'm sure other countries have, which are like what if scenarios from back in the 50s and earlier. Like, what if we went to war with England? What would we do? Or what if the United States absorbed Canada and Mexico and became all of North America? What would we do? It's like all these emergency scenario what if cases.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Contingency plans.
Yeah, there you go. So it's like, what if or do production companies have contingency plans based on if they lose actors, right?
It's possible. I mean, I know that actors have to pass a bunch of physicals and they have to be cleared by insurance before they're allowed to be in stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's possible with that kind of consideration that they think about it a little, but to suggest that they filmed a bunch of scenes of Carrie Fisher dying just in case is kind of unlikely.
Yeah, the dying part not so much, but maybe having a little bit of dialogue explaining oh, I need to go away somewhere, right? Something really cheesy just to explain, or at least have it in their plot line in advance, even if they haven't filmed anything. Just have it in their plot where it makes they already have a way to make it a coherent sense from character departing, right?
Yeah, there's nothing we can do but speculate, unfortunately. We'll all see. In just under a year, episode 8 will be here, and we'll all find out exactly what they did. I just hope that they don't leave it completely alone, and then in between episodes 8 and 9, it's the opening crawl. It's Leia has died in battle. Oh well, and move on. I don't do that. I don't think they would, but.
Oh man, what if they just do another planet blow up or something? It's oh, the planet that she was on blew up, so she's gone. Or something.
I hope not. That would be a pretty crappy way to go out. But yeah, any other thoughts on this?
No, I think that covers my ramblings. Do you have anything else?
Nah, man. I just want to say, everybody, Happy New Year. Thank you for joining us. Wow, we've been going for 2 hours and 12 minutes almost. Obviously, I want to thank you, Chip, for joining in on this. This was Chip's idea to do this, by the way, everybody. You can thank him.
And thank Adam for actually doing it, because he's the one that does all the work. I just talk.
No problem, man. This stream will be available on YouTube after the stream ends. It'll upload, process, and all that good stuff, so you can watch it if you missed any part of it. If you don't mind, please hit the like button, just because YouTube requires me to ask you to do that so that anybody has a chance of seeing it. And that's it, guys. Have a happy and safe New Year. Go out, have fun, and be safe. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Happy New Year.